Hey everyone, welcome to Normal America Show. Host robnoerr. Man, it's great to be back for a call-in show. Hope you're all doing good. I'm cold as shit up in my room here. I don't know what's going on. I think the heating vent was closed or something. I went through, they're all open now, but man, it is cold. It's cold out there. Make sure to grab your booties. Oh man, happy to be here with you on another Monday. You guys feeling like you got a case of the Mondays? You feeling all right? I'm all right. I'm doing okay. Doing better now that I get to stream with you all. So, looking forward to the calls. Looking forward to reading people in the chat. All good stuff. What's going on in my life, you might ask? Well, we streamed late last night. Things were going good. My son back to school here today. He was quite the character yesterday. He said, let me go check the guest room. I thought I checked that before. No, I think we're good. So one of my favorite movies to watch with my son is the original SpongeBob movie from like 2003 or 2004. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's actually a good movie, even if you're an adult. I think it's kind of funny. A big thing in that movie is there's a place called Goofy Goobers, and they keep calling people Goofy Goobers in the movie. And last night while I was up here streaming, apparently my wife asked my son Hank if he was a Goofy Goober, and he replied, "No, only old guys like Dad are Goofy Goober." Which is excellent. That's an excellent insult because he managed to call me a Goofy Goober as an insult, but also call me old. So well done, Hank. I'm very impressed with his So apparently only old guys like me could be Goofy Goobers. So there you have it. I guess I am a Goofy Goober. It's not the worst thing I've ever been called. But man, he is hilarious. He was supposed to go to a birthday party Saturday and ended up we didn't go. He just wasn't feeling it. And oops, sorry, wrong. Yes, that's what I want. And he got a gift though, a Hot Wheels racetrack thing. So he was taking it to school today for his little buddy whose birthday party he missed. So I'm very excited to see how that went. He was pumped. He's like, he's gonna love it. And I think it's cool that he's getting to the age where like sort of he understands trying to make other people happy and like giving them a gift and stuff like that. So yeah, I saw Burger King did a Krabby Patty meal. You know, it's funny, Wendy's did earlier and it was just regular cheeseburger. I haven't seen the Burger King one though. Of course, tonight at what time do we do this? Don't let me lie to you. Let's find the exact time. That's gonna be at no. All right. Let's see. I believe at 8:00. We're gonna go with 8:00. $8 Eastern time is going to be another episode of Law and Order. Which, listen, maybe you're like, why do I want to listen to Rob and Ryan Mullally, attorney Ryan Mullally, talk about all this stuff? What's in it for me? Well, we're going to be talking about the January 6th pipe bomber, birthright citizenship. is the two legal stories that we plan on covering from the outset, but I'm sure we'll transition into other stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll look into those things. You'll get a lawyer's perspective. I'll be here to talk to him. I really like him. But if I can't sell you on that, well, you should tune in because you get your chance to hear the great Law and Order theme song, right? Ready? I should just have this playing the whole time. How could you not want to tune into the show? Oh my goodness, I'm pumped already. Just thinking about it. All right. We get the point. You don't get the whole thing. You got to tune in for the show tonight to get the whole thing. So there you go. That is better than the actual show. So, tune in for that. 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, I'll be doing my regular show afterwards. Mike Ball! Thanks so much for the raid. I know, that would be great. An intro with cut mustaches. We'll have to see what we could do. I'll get my men on it. We'll see what we could come up with. If I'm ever with Ryan in real life, we'll shoot some B-roll footage of just us in cop shirts, smoking cigarettes, eating donuts and shit. Of course, the big news of the day, before we get into the show proper, did my buddy Avarice have his baby yet? No. I think we're at the, quote, any minute portion. I just talked to him on the phone before I came on. Again, thank you so much, Mike Ball. Really appreciate it, man. Always great to see from you. So I just talked to Avarice, and I think they're in the home stretch. So my guess is within an hour or two. It's been a long labor, but yes, maybe Avarice will be here within an hour or two. So good. Scott Adams looking pretty good today. That's great to hear, man. I slept until 11:30. I was up late. So there you have it. That's what's up with baby Avarice. Just about to get to the Collins show. What do you want to talk about today? So I'm not going to get into it by bringing up the stories. I'll do that tonight. But there's several stories that would be interesting to talk about. First is the New York Times is reporting that Zelensky took away guardrails on sort of inspections of the money that was coming into his country, which predictably resulted in a bunch of corruption and people stealing that money. Now, you might be saying, yeah, of course, we knew that would be the case. I know I certainly am. But now we have the New York Times reporting it. Now, I think that what you need to do is ask yourself, why would the New York Times be reporting this now? And the truth is, Zelensky did something to aggravate sort of the establishment, or it's just time for them to move on. I don't want to say I told you so, but I was able to successfully predict, and we'll see, maybe I'll be wrong, but I predicted almost immediately how this conflict would end. There would be a negotiated settlement between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine would be on the losing side of that. And the Western world, everyone that had fucking Ukrainian flags in their bio, and all these leaders in Europe and all these leaders in the United States that was sending them all this money and saying it was the most important thing in the world, would just say, on to the next thing. And The longer the war went on, the only difference would be more Ukrainians would die. And so, my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine that have lost a generation of young men. But hey, a lot of people in Europe and America got to feel good virtue signaling, right? They got to feel great about it. Now is not the time for the war to end, they said. More Ukrainian men must die. Send them to the meat grinder so that we can feel good. Great. Mission accomplished. We told you how corrupt it was. Anytime we're sending billions upon billions of dollars to another country like that, set your watch to it. It's going to be corrupt. All that money's going to get stolen. Now we have the New York Times reporting. They intentionally took away the guardrails. Who would have thought? But Zelensky's the man. He can do no wrong. By the way, when's the next election? Oh, yeah. Just in case you're wondering, here's the title of the New York Times. Peace. Zelensky government sabotaged oversight, allowing corruption to fester. Ukrainian leaders blame independent advisors for failing to prevent the graft. A Times investigation found that Zelensky's own administration removed the guardrails. No! 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 This is my shock face. Don't worry, though. Here's the best part. You ready? 20 years from now, our military will get to go back over there to fight terrorists that were armed by all the weapons and money that we were sending to Ukraine. Isn't that great news? Yay! Just like with the Mujahideen, resulting in a 20-year war in Afghanistan. Amazing! Don't worry, though. First, we'll have to go back to Afghanistan to fight that battle with the huge amounts of money that we left behind. It's all so predictable. It's always the same old bullshit. Next, we can continue to talk about the investigations into the scandal with Somalians in Minnesota. I'm not going to give much away. I see our friend Average Debate Enjoyer in the chat there. I do believe he's going to be part of the panel that I'll be on. That's going to be 8:30 Thursday. It's going to be me, Ryan Mullally, Average Debate Enjoyer, Grid, and then the other liberal cluck I vaguely know, and Cassell I don't know. So we'll be talking about the Somali fraud. We've covered this extensively on the show already. But who would have thought? No, Junior Coltrane, I did not see that. I don't really care what those people do. 24-hour stream I would like to do Friday, but the problem is I got to get on the horn and try to line up some debate opponents or guests, and I don't know that I'll have time. But I'm going to try my best. We'll get to work here today on it. Is that what it is, two lefties? Yeah. So we could talk about that story. The other stories, I mean, certainly we could talk about whatever you want. Another New York Times story. I mean, at this point, it's getting downright laughable. New York Post has a story up similar to this today. You ready for this? Brace yourself. This is the New York Times, everyone. How Biden ignored warnings and lost Americans' faith in immigration. The Democrat president and his top advisors rejected recommendations that could have eased the border crisis that helped return Donald Trump to the White House. Now, you see this and you're like, wow, that's bad. Even the New York Times is like, Biden fucked up. Even the New York Times is saying that. That's how you see it. Well, maybe not you, but that's how a lot of people will see this. That's not how I see this. I see it as a cover up for the fact that this wasn't a mistake. This was the intent. It's now they're going to be like, oh, shucks, human vegetable Joe Biden and his team, they had warnings and they just, they ignored them. Oh, well, incompetence. That's what's going on. They're trying to rewrite the story. The truth is, the New York Times, the Biden administration, and 95% of the Democrats wanted the border crisis. That's the truth. They wanted mass amounts of people coming in. So now, once they realized that wasn't popular with the American people, they're like, oh, well, it was just, the signs were there and we didn't see them. Always the same bullshit. Always the same. Make no mistake about it. It's not that the New York Times have turned a leaf. Mark Hemingway posts out. In the last week, we've gotten major stories from the New York Times on how the government of Ukraine is shockingly corrupt and how Biden's border policy was disastrous. Has the New York Times considered reporting news critical of Democratic policies when it actually matters? You see, there's the theme. There's the theme. Over and over and over, something happens in real time. All of the officials, all the media say, you're crazy. You're wearing a tinfoil hat. That's fucking crazy. Let's go with another example. Somehow, I was an insane madman when I saw pictures of people hanging off the wings of fucking planes, fleeing Afghanistan in an emergency. When I said, did we vet those people that were piling into the planes? Did we vet them? Oh, you're crazy. Of course they were all vetted. Of course. They're all legitimate. Then we have them attacking and killing National Guard members. Well, yeah, maybe the vetting wasn't so good. Thanks a lot. Amazing. Story after story I could tell you. I was told, Russiagate, when I was talking about the illegal FISA warrants. Oh, you're crazy. You're conspiracy theory. It's dangerous to cast doubt in the FBI. Yeah, of course that happened. No big deal. 4 years later. 8 years later. Black Lives Matter, the riots. How corrupt that was. How it was bullshit and it wasn't. No, this is great. It's for change. Now we find out, caused a bunch of damage in inner cities, injured a lot of people died, and a handful of people got rich off the grift. Who would have thought? Defund the police led to more deaths in the inner city. Great. The border? There's no crisis. There's no crisis. Now it's, we ignored the warning signs. Oh, well, time to move forward. Ukraine? Over and over and over. Always the pattern is deny it when it's happening, when it matters, and then after it no longer matters, say, yeah, that happened, but it was a long time ago. There's nothing we could do now. Every single time. And it trickles right down to the people you're talking to online here. Same fucking bullshit. They'll sit there and call you racist for noticing immigration policies. You'll say they're going to try to give these people a pathway to citizenship to vote. That's racist. That would never happen. And then they acknowledge, yep, that's what's happening, and it's a good thing. Oh, well, too late. Just so you can see the game, here's London, 1961, 97.7% white, 2.3 ethnic minority non-white. Ready? 71. All right. 7.4% non-white. 81. Now you have similar number. Yeah, you're up to about 10. Okay, down to 80% white, 20% minority. Now we're at 60%. See how it's escalating? Now whites have lost their plurality, but no longer the majority. 45% in 2011. And then you have 2021. And by the way, when they say Asian, they don't mean Japanese. Just watch this again. Watch it play out. I think they're estimating Asians will be the majority in London. Asians by like 2040, I think I read somewhere. And that's what we have to look forward here in the United States. Same thing. Just like in the UK, they said, you're racist. How dare you bring this up? That's outrageous. It's good curry. These people are great. How dare you? Here's some data from Denmark, some crime data. Conviction rates in Denmark, ages 15 to 79 by offense and immigrant origin. Here you see Danish. That's the reference level. 1. Westerners in total, around 1, little less. Non-Westerners total. See how it goes up more? Look at rape. 6.4 times more from non-Westerners. But then, if we look at non-Westerners that aren't Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, Turkey, not that much worse than Danish. But look at the group from Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, and Turkey. Rape, 9 times more likely. Homicide, 9 times more likely. Robbery, 10 times more likely. That's Denmark. That's what we have to look forward to in the United States as well. Oh, well, though, Joe Biden, the signs were there. He meant to secure the border. The bullshit going into the 2024 election. I swear, I couldn't believe the bullshit that people were falling for. (2021) Democrats say border secure, there's not a problem. 2022, Democrats say border secure, there's no problem. 2023, Democrats say border secure, there's no problem. 2024, Democrats say, oh shit, there's a crisis at the border. It's Trump's fault. They bragged. The Biden administration bragged. Day one, we're rescinding Trump's executive orders. Then we saw tens of millions of people flood into the border over the Biden administration. I showed you the chart the other day. Let's see if I can bring it up real quick. Then we'll get to super chats and the calls. I thought I had this. There we go. The red is illegals, basically. First year, we had damn near illegal, a million illegals. Second year, around 2 million. Third year, over 2 million. Fourth year, over 2 million. All the while, we were told by almost every Democrat, there's no problem. What problem? What are you talking about? There's no border crisis. What are you talking about? Then all of a sudden, in an election year, sir, it turns out that polling suggests that this is a big loser for us. And your opponent, Donald Trump, is going to use this issue to attempt to win the election. And Biden said, chocolate chip pudding. And they were like, yeah, put the old man back in the fucking closet, all right? Get the fucking geezers some chocolate chip ice cream. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, the rest of us, shit, the jig is up. I got it. Let's pretend we give a shit. We'll work with the fucking establishment Republican named Langford to have him push forth a bill so we can say, oh, it's bipartisan, and that bill is going to allow 5,000 illegals a day into the border. And we'll say that it's impossible to stop the crisis unless we do this. There's nothing we can do except this. We have to allow these 5,000 a day in. Have to. That's the only possible way. Then, when the Trump team's like, nah, this bill's fucking bullshit, and if we sign it into law, remember, it's the same game that they played with Haitians in places like Springfield, Ohio. When you're like, we don't like this, get these fucking people out. What do they say? Oh, but they're here legally. They're here legally. So now you can't kick them out. Same thing would have happened. You signed the bipartisan bill allowing 5,000 a month in, or day in. You signed it. Why did you sign it if you didn't want these people? You can't reject them now. Now it's enshrined in law. Fuck that, says Trump. Nope. And he was right. And now, after being told for years that this was the exact plan, that this was intentional, now you got the cleanup operation by the New York Times. Oh, the signs were there, but they were mistakenly ignored. A little bit of incompetence there by the Biden administration. Anyways, vote Democrat the next election. They'll keep the border secure. Don't worry, though. They're not getting welfare. Oh, wait, they are. On and on and on we go. All right, let's read some super chats, and we're going to get the link out there. Kokomo, thanks so much. 10 gifted memberships. Amazing, thank you. Then our friend AJC, $50. Thank you, as always, man. So says, congrats for Avarice. I remember when my two boys were born, we played tug of war to get one of our boys out with my ex. We didn't have everything bagel in the picture, though. There you go. Cutting the umbilical cords for them is something special. God bless. Yeah, man, there's nothing like it. Took my breath away when my son was handed to me in the hospital. Just absolutely incredible feeling. I don't even know how to put into words to describe it. But any moment now, Avarice is going to be a father. How long, Nate? $10 says, morning, everyone. Hit the like and don't be a goofy goober. Thank you. Humpty Toe, $2 says, just wanted to send this. I'll be back after Mug Club ends. Yeah. The great, always amazing Mug Club going on over there. Steven Crowder. All right, we're going to put the link out there for the Collins Show. We can talk about any of the topics I've mentioned or anything you like. Remember, get in early, lest the calls fill up towards the end and us be incapable of getting to all of them. We're going to pin that link to the top. It's pinned. Deliver a litter of puppies. He got to actually deliver. Crowder was a little soft with Nick. I don't think he did terrible, though, from what I saw of it. Interviewing someone's different than debating them. Naughty Germ, $5. Thank you as always, my friend. Always appreciate it. Now, let's see as we wait here. Stupid paywalls. Does that work? Does anybody actually, at this point, like any of the major news places, are there people subscribing? Oh my goodness. Mr. Prometheus, $10 says, here's 10 for the grift on my 52nd birthday. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday. And then says December 8th is a great day, Avarice. Yeah, absolutely. All right, here's another story that I didn't get to talk about last night. Last night was my January 6th retrospective. So all across the country, these alternate electors court cases are being tossed out now. Even though we were told this was the worst thing that ever happened. And now the big case in Georgia that they went after Trump and his team for, and we're indicting him, it's fallen apart. We're going to read a story about this. But remember what I said from the get-go. Even though I didn't particularly like the alternate electors thing, they were basically a contingency because they felt that if the electors were not put in place, even if they won their court challenges, it'd be too late. Once the electors certified the election and there's not another slate, that's it, too late. So while court cases were ongoing and while they were trying to find evidence of the corruption, they pushed forth alternate electors. It is not illegal to challenge an election. This was similar to Hawaii, what happened in the Nixon JFK election. And when you really get down to brass tacks, what makes a slate of electors fraudulent? Well, the electors that the governor signs off on are the legitimate slate. Given that, the Democrats' alternate electors in the Nixon JFK election were not signed off on by the governor. Therefore, they were illegal, according to the Democrats' theory. Of course not, though. Everyone understood what was going on. It was for challenges in the counting system there in Hawaii. No problem. Show me Trump's EO specifically targeting someone by name. Why don't you call in, Josh Vett? Link at the top. There we have it. When all these bullshit cases are coming from prosecutors that are admitting we're running on getting Donald Trump, Josh Vett, no doubt a big fan. Yes, all good. When Trump's team comes in and start investigating people that were engaged in the corruption against him, oh, now that cases are dropped, it's because Trump would threaten them. 1 second. So we move on with Trump did not pass an executive order demanding to go after any judge or prosecutor. In my knowledge. Now, remember, we ended up with what percentage of Republicans that were targeted? Under this investigation? Half? In the Senate? A third? Let's see here. Trying to find it. Eight Republican senators: Blackburn, Graham, Haggerty, Hawley, Johnson, Cynthia Lummis, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville. Mike Kelly in PA. March 6, 2025. Okay, who was named in the executive order? Go ahead. One of the prosecutors or judges was named in the executive order. I'm willing to listen. Go ahead. Let's see it. Ah, the law firms. Sure, law firms were gone after. Were any of Trump's lawyers specifically gone after? Yes, they were. They didn't go. Was there an executive order going after judges? Nope. Was there an executive order going after prosecutors? Nope. But your argument is that now they dropped the contingent electors case because this prosecutor would be fearful that Trump would specifically have an executive order targeting them. Let me ask you this. Did you say the same thing? That people were afraid to work for MAGA people and work for Trump because there was specifically going after lawyers, attorneys, etc. that were working with these people? Why don't you call in, Josh Vett? Big talker. Call in. Links at the top. Pinned to the top. Now, here's what you have. When Democrats specifically target Trump, Republican officials, lawyers that are working with Trump, people on Trump's team, it's all good. It's copacetic. No problem. That's what needs to happen. When Trump's team goes after people that they think engaged in corruption against them, oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, my goodness. This is terrible. Do you see? Now, as we know, Josh Vett's not going to call in. What's the excuse? I'm at work. I can't. I can't figure. I can't figure out how to use the link. Yes. What aboutism? It's not whataboutism. Whataboutism would be excusing an action by saying that someone else did it. Me saying that they dropped this case and then you saying that's because Trump would target people is you using whataboutism, is what it is. Or rather than whataboutism, it's you deflecting from the point that the merits of what this judge said or this prosecutor said was actually legitimate. Josh Vett? Calling in? No? That's what I thought. And just know this. The people that talk big in the chat are too cowardly to call in because they know that their argument is horseshit and that they would be in shambles. They know it. And so they'll find excuses and they'll talk big in the chat, but they know the answer. They know what will happen. All right, Josh Vett, you've had your chance. So I'm done responding to you. Take care of your children. You're typing an awful lot. Sounds like you're not paying attention. There's a new one. I'm taking care of my children so I can type, but I can't call in. Nice. Just know that there could be specific targeting of Trump. You could have prosecutors that specifically say, I'm running on getting Donald Trump. You could have that. But if you come into office and say, wait a minute, we're going to look into this stuff, oh, that's corruption. You guess I would need to take care of my kids to know. My bad. Listen, I take care of my son very well. I don't use him as an excuse to be a coward and not call in. You're telling me that you can't take a phone call while you're taking care of your kids? Is that what you're suggesting? Perhaps you're not as talented as a father as you would have us believe. I guess they're fucked if someone calls and you have to answer the phone, right? You'd be incapable of dealing with it, correct? Now, I get it. Pusses like you need to find some excuse to justify the fact that you know that you would get crushed in some sort of conversation or debate. And so it's a new one for me to someone use their kids as an excuse. Real chump-like behavior there. I got it. I personally had calls while I'm looking after my son. At least I'm here for my kids. So you're unemployed. That's what you're suggesting? There we go, everyone. Josh Vett, stay-at-home dad, everyone. Unemployed, father of the year. He's with his kids 24/7, don't you know? He doesn't have a job when he's not there. Yes, I'm up here streaming while my son's at school, and then I stream in the evening when my son goes to bed. I also have a wife that stays with me, something that you probably don't have, right? So please explain to me, how do you make your income? Does mommy take care of you? Is that what happens? Or are you living off the government dole since you're clearly unemployed? Since you're there for your kids all the time, right? Yes? Go ahead. Why don't you explain to us? Glad you spend 3 hours a day with your kids. They're going to miss you. What are you talking about? I just got done telling you that when I'm streaming, my son's not even available. Your kids don't go to school? Do you homeschool them? What a fucking lying sack of shit. Listen to this guy. Listen to him. Tell us what you do for a living, Josh. Or can't you do that because your kids are there? Is that what's going on? Now do you see the puss-like behavior, the excuses? I can't tell you. All I can tell you is that I spend every waking moment with my kids. But I can't tell you what I do for a living or how I provide for them. Go ahead, explain. Tell us what your job is, Josh. Go ahead. I literally leave the stream at 2:30 to make sure that I'm there every day to go pick up my son from school. So just so you know, all of my friends out there that watch this stream that are fathers that work, Josh thinks you're a piece of shit. How dare you work? You're not there with your kids? There he goes. He can't tell you. See that? Anything you got to tell yourself, Rob. Talk shit about my family, but you can't even spend time with yours. Just got done saying that I spent time. Didn't talk shit in your family. I'm sure your kids are lovely. I talk shit on you, using them as an excuse for not being able to call. That's what I did. Why don't you tell us what your job is, Josh? Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us? Since you got done saying that you spend every waking moment, how dare I, while my son's at school, come up and stream for 3 hours for my job? How dare I? Why don't you tell me what your job is? Because clearly you don't have a job where you have to leave your kids, right? You're there all the time, right? So tell us, do you have a woman that's the primary breadwinner and you stay at home? Do you exist off government subsidy? And that's how you're able to stay home. Go ahead, tell us. Tell us what it is that you do. You can't. Why can't you? Why can't you just say, here's my job? You work nights. Now, first he uses his kids as an excuse not to call in. Now he's going to play the I'm an Army veteran, so you can't make fun of me. Part-time work, motherfucker. Woo! Part-time. So you're not there for your kids part-time in the evening. Wow, that sounds fucking horrible. You fucking absentee father, you piece of shit. What if your kids need you at night while you're working your part-time fucking job? What if they need you, you fucking loser? Then what? But they're sleeping. I just got done telling you I'm streaming while my son's at school. And you said, wait a minute. That means that you're an absentee father. See? You could make fun of my work while my kids are asleep. I just got done saying I stream when my son's at school. I stream when my son's sleeping. Part-time. There you go, everyone. Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure this guy was a tremendous employee, by the way. When's the last time I missed picking up my kid for this stream? When's the last time that happened? I think it's happened once, maybe twice in the entire time I've been streaming. That I missed my son picking him up, and then he got back, and then I went down. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your average Trump hater. I can't talk. Boy, it sounds like you're doing an awful lot of typing. Shouldn't you be paying attention to your children? Or is this what you consider good parenting? Here you go. You see, when I'm spending time with my kids, I'm paying attention to them. I'm not feverishly watching some YouTube video and typing, thereby only half paying attention. Your kids are forming memories without you. They'll know you as the father that barely worked to provide for them, that instead of spending quality time with them, was using them as an excuse to furiously type and argue with someone online while you were supposed to be spending time with them. No, I believe you have a disability. I didn't say you're faking that. Clearly, you have some sort of mental incompetence. That would probably form some form of disability. Here we have it. We have an Army vet in chat, a family man, and just because he brought up a potentially corrupt executive order, this is the treatment he gets. No. Just because he started talking shit on me about being an absentee father, this is the shit he gets. I merely brought up that every time someone starts talking shit and wants to, and I asked them to call in, they make up some sort of excuse. The excuse he made was, even though he could sit here typing, he was unable to pick up the phone and call. I said, when I'm with my kids, I can pick up the phone and take calls. He then said that I'm an absentee father. Zris, would you care to respond to that? No, I wasn't giving him this shit until he accused me of being an absentee father. Was I, Zris? Was I? How do you know shit about this guy being a family man? Just because he said he's spending time with his children? We have here me, a family man, that's been accused because I'm on here streaming of being an absentee father. I noticed you didn't say anything about that. Isn't it interesting how even the lefties that are on here a lot stay together with this sort of shit? You wouldn't have talked to me the way he did either. So then me responding to, all right, well, Zeris, you're banned. Josh, we'll give you more time to spend with your kids. You're banned. See you guys later. Ah. All right, couple super chats and we'll take calls. Links at the top. Abel, $5 says, Rob, Andrew versus Brian part 2. You should be the mod. You would be fair because I've met you at DebateCon and you're fair, dude. I'm actually going to be debating Brian at America Fest. So it probably wouldn't be a good mod for that. But I appreciate the kind words. Airborne Animal, $5 says, imagine using your children as a shield against conversation. Typical leftist coward. Yep. Lord of the Nerds, $5 says, military service isn't a Captain America shield protecting you from criticism after talking shit. Doing so makes you an embarrassment to the service. Airborne Animal, $5 says, I personally hate it when people hide behind their service as if it makes you immune to criticism. Stop clutching your pearls. I appreciate anyone's military service. I really do. I appreciate anyone who's trying to be a good father, right? But the idea of like, well, I can't call in because I'm sitting here typing the whole time, but I can't call in. It'd be different if he was like, look, I got to take my kids to X, so I can't do it. That I get. And it doesn't matter. If you don't want to call in, just say, I don't want to call in. But if you're like, I can't call in because I'm with my kids, then I'm allowed to push back a little and be like, oh, really? That sounds like a bit much of an excuse. And then to take that immediately to, well, you're a piece of shit dad because you stream. John Smith, $5 says, hey, Rob, just signed on a house. Closing on January 2nd. Super excited for the extra room after Little Miss Queen Tyrant was born. Congratulations, man. That's amazing. Good for you. Red Fox, $20 says, Rob, great seeing your stream. I met you at DebateCon at the front desk of the hotel while you got a drink. What do you think of the midterm political issues will be? I think that you're going to see there's going to be a lot of shit about radical shit in the right wing. So they're going to focus on like Tucker Carlson and people like that with Nick Fuentes. Then you're going to see a lot of shitty deportation stuff. And you're going to hear talk of the economy. Those are the three things that they're going to be talking about the most. So, in my opinion. Elbows, thanks for the $1. Really appreciate it. All right. We're going to get to the calls. Our friend Josh wasn't able to call in. I hope your children are doing well, Josh. Zris, go fuck yourself. I actually respect Josh more than Zris. Zris could eat shit. This great family man veteran simply has a mild disagreement with Rob, and now he's criticizing. Left out the point where he said I was a shitty dad because I stream. Oh, yeah, I guess that was bad too. Fuck you, Zris. See you later. I'm sure Josh's kids are fine. I'm sure he's a vet that realizes that he doesn't want to call in because probably it wouldn't go so well for him. I'm sure he's a fine father. And I'm sure he was a great veteran. But the idea of you can't have a job or else your kids won't know you, etc., etc. I mean, go fuck yourself. I don't have to put up with that. So, yeah, my brother would call in, but he doesn't want his rabbits to not form fond memories, right? So, all right, here we go. We're going to get to calls. Remember to get those super chats in. Any topic that you all want to talk about. I know we just had a little drama in the stream there, but we don't have to talk about that. We can talk about whatever you want. Remember, keep it terms of service friendly. Let's bring on the haters first. Terms of service friendly. No racial slurs, no homophobic slurs, no calls to violence, etc. First up, we got Zris, who was just banned. Hey, Zris, you piece of shit. What's happening?
Hey, Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, you fucking cocksucker.
What's going on? What's with the aggression here?
Well, let's see. You said that I was mistreating someone who said I was an absentee father because I stream while my son's at work. And you said that was just me giving him treatment, that he's a good family man and a veteran. And I was doing that just because of a mild disagreement about policy. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, maybe I misunderstood the timing.
Yeah, I guess you did misunderstand the timing. So, alrighty. Now, next up, we got someone who's not someone that aggravates the shit out of me. We're just going to go in order. So, whatever topic you guys want to talk about. First up, we'll go with our good friend Bass Grandma Premonition. How you doing today?
Good morning, dear. Let me find
Good morning. It's actually afternoon for me, but it's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, it's almost 10 here. Well, good morning. Did Avarice have our baby?
My guess is any moment, if he hadn't just already. I talked to him about 5 minutes before I came on, and they're at Everything Bagel, so it's very close. So
Good.
I'm sure. Now, I told him, like, those moments after you have your son, like, you're not going to be thinking to call people. It's truly breathtaking. So I'm sure I'll hear later in the day. But yes, I'm sure everything went fine. Everything was going fine as if last talking to him. It's been a long labor, but I think that they're finally there. So
Yeah. Oh, good. And he doesn't understand yet, like and I remember. He's never going to sleep again. He's not going to get any sleep for the next 4 years, at least. And that is a hard adjustment.
Yeah. It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. I mean, every 2 hours you're up, and
we were pretty lucky with Hank. Like, he slept decent as a baby. There was definitely getting up, but now he's almost 5, so we're at the time where he sleeps all night. Like, but yeah, you go through those days, man, where it's like, particularly if there's a little cold or something, where it's just like, good luck. You and the wife taking turns getting up. And then for me, I was never really sleeping anyways. I was freaked out, right? Because I'm like, anything could happen while we're sleeping, like anything. So I'm like only half asleep, just like staring at the little bassinet.
Oh, you never sleep. I remember every noise, and you recognize every noise, and every noise, doesn't matter where you are. And he's about to hit a whole new existence is about to open up for him that you just don't know until and the affection, a whole new. He's going to, if the baby has already emerged and is with us now, he is already there, but he's going to acquire that vicious protectiveness that as a parent you acquire. So the guy that was saying this stuff, an idiot and probably not a parent, because you acquire this vicious, I will kill you, I will rip your head off if you come anywhere near my baby, that we're supposed to have. I remember being vicious. I've never been a mean person, but don't go near my baby.
Well, right. It's biological, right? Like that. And it's, I think it's even more stark for mothers. Like for me, I was at a family reunion and there was a sand pit they were playing, and some little kid was older than Hank, maybe like 8, took sand and threw it behind him right in Hank's eyes. And we had to like go get him washed out and stuff. And like there was a brief moment where I was like, you little shit, and was like gonna like whack this kid in the face. Of course you don't do it. But it's like, I remember thinking later, like, wow, never in my life did I have like an intense like rage to an 8-year-old more than when he intentionally hurt my son, like threw sand in his eyes like that. And it is like, now you might say, well, that it makes you irrational. Well, yeah, yes and no. The thing is,
It makes
the
you a
reason,
parent.
right, all of this stuff, it's like, if you're not a parent and you're listening, it's like, I don't know, I like sleep. I don't know that I want to have a kid. The reason that you can't sleep isn't just because your kid's getting up, it's because you care and love your kid so much. And so imagine, you know, there's no, I've tried my best to come up with ways to describe this to people that aren't parents. It's impossible. There is nothing that you could liken it to. Like, you could be like, have you ever felt really horrible when you have a pet, like a dog or a cat that passes away?
That is the closest you can come to somebody that's really devoutly attached to their pet. That's close, but that's really close, actually. And yes, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was when you said
No, it's so if you lose a pet, right?
Yeah.
One of the feelings, and I've had this happen several times in my life, one of the feelings is like, well, I don't want a new pet because that feeling of loss. But then you're like, the reason that feeling of loss is so profound is because of how much you love that pet. Right.
Yes.
And would it be worth it to have never had that pet? Like my dog that just passed away, Annabelle. It was horrible. When she died, it was horrible. And but you think about like, I could have avoided that feeling of that horrible nature, but I would have lost all those, 13 years that I had with her where she was amazing. Now imagine that to the exponentially increased, that the love you'll have for a kid. And so it's like, it makes it all worth it. All the little things like, oh, but you can't go out to the bar as much, or you can't go out to concerts or whatever you did as much, and you don't have as much free. Who gives a shit? For me,
well, that's
like
all gone now.
Yeah, my vacation here this year was going to Nashville for DebateCon. My son came with me, so did my wife, and my in-laws came to watch my son. Well, me and my wife were over at DebateCon, and then we spent 3 days in Nashville going to the zoo and stuff. Now it's Nashville. Oh, they got all these exciting, like, stuff for adults to do. There's bars, there's the Country Music Hall of Fame, stuff that kids aren't going to be into. I didn't give a shit. For me, my enjoyment was going out with my family, so...
Well, you said the other night, what people that forget or don't know yet, the Christmas list for your son. You said, oh, he was up. You left chair for us, and came back and said, well, oh, this is very important. He's writing his list.
He was,
and that is the utmost important. And then the Santa panic. Making sure, and we all know, I know what your boy wants. I know what he wants because you mentioned it from Santa, and that you never changed that. It's always Santa. Even when your son is 35 years old and has his own children, it will still always have been Santa.
Yep.
That's the rule. And that's the other thing, the longevity. From the moment of Avers's boy's birth, he's now going to be thinking, okay, when he's 14 and he starts wanting to date girls, and oh dear, he's going to run it up, and just like you are, you're already deciding on college or not, and
hopefully no.
You guys are setting,
yeah.
I know what you're doing, and wait until you have a grandchild, and and then I'll close with that really quick. But people that don't have grandchildren yet, I identify myself as grandma. When I was just the mom, I was the mom, and none of the kids knew my name. I'm Kendall and Jason's mom, and now I'm grandma. And when you have the grandbaby, it's weird. It goes above the child somehow. So
isn't that yes?
Son, the grandbaby slides in there, and you're even more vicious and protective over the grandbaby, which is very strange because it's another person and your child having a child, but for some reason that attachment to the grandbaby is even more intense, and I don't understand that. I would murder for my granddaughter. I have one, and
it's.
Yeah,
it's an unreal feeling. It really is. You should
Yeah.
all find someone that you love, get married, and have kids. There's no experience like it. It's look, like I'm not going to sell it to you like because you'll make more money, because you'll be able to go on more vacations. No, none of that's true. But what you'll
No.
quickly realize is most of that for almost everyone, for an overwhelming majority of people, I think. What you'll come to realize is those things aren't important. I'm not going to say that it's exclusive. There are some people that just don't want to be parents and wouldn't be good at it. That I get. That's fine. But I'm saying for the majority of people, even if you think it's not for me, I'm telling you, I said this my whole life, before I met Courtney. I'm not really interested in a wife. Then once I met her, it was like, oh, wow. And then we got married. And then it was, we're not really interested in having kids. Then once we started to try, we had difficulty having kids. It's all right. It's no big deal. Think of all the cool stuff we'll be able to do because we don't have kids. We'll be able to go out. Most of my friends my age don't have kids. So it's like, it's cool. We're still hanging out. And then once you have a kid, you realize like, oh, like this is what it's really like to do something meaningful and be happy. So,
it's also
really,
our purpose. It's our purpose. And the feminism took so many young women away from that.
Yeah.
They'll never
totally
know
agree.
it. So anyway, you make sure you let us know when you're here. Have a wonderful day, and hello to everybody that follows, and hello to all the people. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you so much. Always appreciate it, Premonition. Have a good one.
Here.
So yes, as soon as we hear from Avarice, I'll let you all know. Aura, thanks so much. Aura Kirana, $10 says, I honestly hate the people that claim vet and hide behind that. As you can tell, I never let anyone know I'm a vet, was wounded, and does not have a disability because I want to work. Single father of 2. Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this. On one hand, I think that if you're a vet, you should be allowed to proudly display that, and you should get some sort of reverence for that. I truly believe that. On the other hand, that doesn't mean that I can't disagree with you, and if you use that as some sort of, like, excuse, I'm not impressed by it. Now, having said that, I don't think he really uses an excuse to not. It wasn't like he said, I can't call in because I'm a vet or anything of that nature. He said he couldn't call in because he was watching his kids. I don't think I said anything too shitty about his kids. I was just like, that's quite the excuse. Like, you could just call in, even though if you're typing, right? For them to him then say that I'm a shitty father because I work, etc. Okay, if you want to open that can of worms, and then for him to say like, well, I'm a vet, that has nothing to do with his ability to be a father. But I'm not denigrating his military service. Kokomo, $20 says, thanks for the entertainment. Of course. Red Fox, $20 says, I'm a veteran. Anyone using their military service as a shield needs to reevaluate their position. It's clearly weak. You can be critical of veterans. We are not perfect. Agreed. John Smith, $2 says, just saw Warren Smith's video on Vosh. Thoughts? I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out. Vosh is a name that sort of disappeared off my radar. I don't see him doing much impactful anymore. Kane, $10 says, military service is like pregnancy. Anyone can sign up to do a good thing. Doesn't make them smart or capable. It's the results that matter, not the fact they signed up. I'll give you an example. I saw one of the TikTok invasions Andrew did the other day. He goes on this channel, and they're talking about how Trump needs to be impeached. And he's like, why? And so this guy starts off, and he's like, well, I'm a military vet, so I know a little about the Constitution because I'm a veteran. And Andrew's like, well, thank you for your service, but what does that have to do with your understanding of the Constitution? Like, I know many vets, and some of them would be absolutely brilliant at being able to identify the amendments and the parts of the Constitution, and others of them wouldn't know shit all about it. It's not part of the job that you need to understand the Constitution to be a great military serviceman. But to say that, like, well, this somehow, gives you credibility. As a veteran, you know that all veterans that serve, we implicitly understand everything about the Constitution. I mean, that's sort of a joke. And then when Andrew's like, I don't follow, they're like, how dare you disrespect veterans? I mean, what? That's nonsense. What if someone called in and said, well, I'm a veteran, I served more than you, so I understand the Constitution more, so shut your mouth? Would they say, well, that doesn't add up? Why would that matter? Or would they say, yeah, you're right, I'm wrong. If you've served more, clearly you're a better vet than me, and you know the Constitution more. So, I mean, it just doesn't make that sort of shit. It's sort of aggravating because it's like, I don't understand. Like, being a vet makes sense in a certain context. For example, if I say, why don't you do some sort of public service? Why don't you put your life on the line for something? Someone says, I'm a veteran. I fought in Afghanistan. I get it. That you understand. Or if someone's saying, like, look, I know a little about firearm training and usage. You know, I would, as a veteran, here's the training we did. That makes sense. You get it. But to just say, well, I'm a veteran, so, you know, you disagree on me whether or not we should toll Interstate 80. Sorry, what? Why does you being a veteran have any bearing on this political issue? So, I don't know. Mr. Wand over on Rumble says, are you familiar with Judicial Watch and Tom Fitton? I am. I'm a big fan. Claims there are over 100,000 non-citizen voters on the PA rolls, and courts ruled no standing to clean them up. I've not heard that. I wouldn't be surprised, though. Yeah, and that's right. People use it as a way to emotionally manipulate people. Yes, I agree. All right, next call. Fair Wild. What's up, Fair? How you doing? Oh,
I was muted.
There we go. What's up, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing good.
I just called in to, mention a little something. You see, I think the issue is guys like Josh are just wondering and upset why they had to scrub the sunshine off the pavement for so long, and curious as to why it never came off.
Yeah. I mean, it just, look, I understand the left-wing position here, which is, oh my goodness, Trump's targeting people that he didn't like that went after him. My issue was, once you broke that glass ceiling and massively supported going after Trump and everyone connected to him, you had to know that this was going to be it going forward. You had to know that now presidencies are going to be mass pardons of everyone in the administration on the way out the door, like we saw with the Biden administration. Trump's going to do the same thing, and the game's now going to be targeting your opponents. I happen to think in this specific case that Trump is correct to go after the people that were engaged in obvious corruption against him. They have it coming. However, that's not really the story that we're talking about this specific case, where the prosecutor that came in dropped the alternate electors lawsuit or prosecution. This person was making a claim. No. The facts of that case and why the prosecutor dropped them are irrelevant because this prosecutor was fearful that Donald Trump would have targeted him. But I'm unaware of any targeting of prosecutors, etc., via executive order that's occurred. And so I was willing to have that conversation and talk about the merits of this case, and the idea that there was targeting that went on of the Trump administration that started all of this. He didn't want to call in, that's all. So,
well, I'm more upset that he, went after the kids thing with it than that. I can talk about something with somebody that I disagree about without being a dickhead about it.
I mean, in fairness, he brought up his kids and say, I can't call in because of my kids. I didn't talk shit to the kids or say, I just said, why can't you call in?
Fair.
Right? Like, well, your kids are there. So, to his defense a little, I did say something that you could consider in the most slight way a negative. I was like, are you using your kids as an excuse to not call in? Right? But then he took it to a different level, being like, well, you're a terrible father because you work.
Which is more of what I was alluding to.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
No, sir.
Right? Like, I guess the implication would then be that any father that actually works a job to provide for their family is an absentee father and ought to be ashamed. And instead, the only way to be a good father, I guess, is to collect disability so that you have the option to be there, I guess would be what this guy would say. Otherwise, if you're working a 9-to-5 job and your kid gets off school at 3, that's 2 hours you missed with your kid and you're a piece of shit. Your kid's formulating memories without you. And so what you need to do is go out there and be unemployed, get welfare, or get a disability check. Now, let's assume that his disability is completely legitimate, and maybe it's from his service. And I feel terrible about that. And again, I respect the service, but it's a real fucking crazy thing to say, right? That if you 100%. Have a job that you're a shitty father. I mean, it's just nonsense.
To me, it's like this. You also can't really compare the two, right? if you're sitting here comparing two veterans, one who, stubbed his toe and got out versus somebody who, spinals, cranial surgeries, hip surgeries, knee surgeries, yada, 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 and saying, oh, well, you should be at home with your kids versus the guy that doesn't really have a choice. You can't really compare someone who's not in that same position. You're working on here. This is your technical job. It's also something you do because you enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And you spend a lot of time with your kids. I only see you on in the mornings and the late evenings, and it's not even for that long. Heck, half your evening streams are after I've gone to bed. So you work your butt off as far as I'm concerned.
Now he will be able to criticize me this evening because I will start streaming at 8 o'clock because I have a show with Ryan Mullally. But my son goes to bed at 8:30, so I will miss the last half hour. But still, even so, it's giving into sort of a nonsensical position in the first place. It's okay to work. Oh, look at this. There he is. Josh Band LOA. Now he has an alternate account. So this guy who doesn't have time to call in because he's with his kids, right, and wants to criticize me because I work, which means that I'm an absentee father, he has time to not only sit here and argue with someone on chat, how much attention do you think he's actually paying to his kids? Then he has time to create a second account named Josh Band LOL to come back on and argue. He says, to be clear, the guy in chat brought up my service, not me. I didn't try to hide behind it. I do apologize for attacking you about the absent father shit. That was way too far and I was triggered. I accept your apology. And I will unban your original account. Not Zris, though. Zris could eat shit. Zris, who claims even after that apology, he claims after that, oh no, that was just me attacking him for no reason, just a political disagreement. That guy could eat shit. So, but no, I accept it. And sometimes when you're chippy with people online, I would still love to talk to you at some point on a call, Josh, about what you think of this specific case being dropped, and also what you think of Trump's executive order that's basically going after the people that worked at Perkins Coie. I don't see that as the same as an executive order going after judges or going after like the prosecutors that were going after Trump. These are lawyers that are intentionally engaged in lawfare against the Trump administration that themselves have been caught up in things that seem illegitimate. For example, the very case with Trump with the FEC violation or the potential FEC violation in New York by Alvin Bragg was literally committed by Perkins Coie and Hillary Clinton, where they put down incorrect payments instead of campaign search. They just put down legal fees for Perkins Coie. So I'd be interesting to hear his thoughts on that. But
as long as you come up and you mind your TOS, Rob's a really nice guy. Most of the time he'll talk about anything with anybody.
Well, I mean, attacks on family and stuff, irregardless. But yes, I do get frustrated
from that's an attack. I don't consider that hawking with one another.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. As far as the general comment about military service, like I was saying, it is frustrating. Like an example of someone like when I debated Connor, right? And he kept bringing up that he served. And so therefore I'm a pussy. And I won't denigrate. I dislike Connor a lot. I won't denigrate his military service though. And I don't know. Maybe I'll be honest. Some people's military service ends up not being much active duty. It's like they sit in a desk in a place and then they get carpal tunnel or something and they claim disability. But my default, and fuck that if that's what's going on. Meanwhile, my neighbor who
don't talk about the Air Force. Jeez.
My neighbor who served in Afghanistan and actually saw combat, this dude was having trouble just getting his regular medical bills taken care of.
Right.
And so he not only not like receiving a check, like a disability check, but he wasn't like they wouldn't pay his fucking medical bills. He eventually got that taken care of.
Prove anything is pulling teeth from a pissed off Rottweiler.
And so I understand, particularly from this perspective of veterans who maybe have dealt with a lot of shit that were wounded that are having trouble dealing with the VA. If they see a veteran who basically had a desk job that is getting disability benefits, I understand the fury that they get. However, my default is always to respect the veteran, and I'm not trying to parse out unless I have very hyper-specific knowledge of their situation. The default to me is if you served, I didn't, and that's better than me, and I thank you for that service. And if you have disability, I'll assume on an individual basis, even though I know on a grand scheme that there are vets that take advantage of that system, there are also a lot of vets that get screwed over, and the disability is not near enough based on the sacrifice that they gave. So my default position in the individual level is to always assume anyone that's collecting disability or that served did so admirably. That's my default position. So very rarely will you hear me sort of like mocking someone in that sense. Connor, his argument was, one second. I'll be doing the extravaganza tomorrow.
Nice.
I just got the message. It'll be me and Andrew. And Jake's going to be. Anyways, just to finish this thought, Connor, we're talking about Ukraine, and I'm like, I don't think it's an admirable characteristic to say, yeah, fuck it, let's have more Ukrainian young men go and die. Like, I think that that's sort of cowardice. It's easy to make that claim when it's not you that's in jeopardy. Sure, and he's like, fuck you, I served, you piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I guess a little I see what's going on with there, particularly if you served in combat, but nonetheless, let's say that you served in the Korean War. Does that justify you then in Vietnam saying, I want all these fucking young kids to go over there and just keep dying? I don't give a shit. Probably not. Right? Like, again, the service is admirable. Don't get me wrong. And especially if you served in a conflict zone. But, I mean, in that case, Connor's just like fucking big time and big man, like, and he constantly defaults to that. Well, I served. Well, what's that have shit all to do with what we're talking about? Yes, the guy that served in the military, presumably admirably, he sounds like a cool guy. I wish I knew him. Instead, I know you, the guy that's a shell of that former guy, that's using that service as somehow some fucking argument to justify you saying that, hey, I had policies that predictably led to this war in Russia, Ukraine that I advocated for, and now I want the war to continue in perpetuity because it's not me dying, it's young Ukrainian men and Russians. So, yeah.
Well, to me, I kind of look at it like, and pardon me, I'm not too good with names and dates and titles for reasons.
It's all right.
But there was a debate that Andrew was doing, and this gentleman came in and started saying, oh, yeah, how did you serve? What did you do? This, that, and the other. Completely irrelevant to the argument. And that's kind of how I looked at this. Irrelevant to the argument. Come in, talk about a thing. Doesn't matter if he served. Doesn't matter if you served. That has nothing to do with the argument you want to make and what you want to discuss. Don't bring it into it to begin with.
Well, so it's a little bit, and again, I didn't serve. So I hesitate to do this because it's not really my place to say this. But I view it a little bit like I do being generous in other ways in life. Like, let's say that I donate money, right, to poor groups or whatever, right? So it loses the sort of the effect and the intent if I use that to brag. Well, how much money did you donate to poor people? I've donated, $6,383 this year. That's what I've done. How about you? What have you done? It's like, no, being charitable is not about getting credit for being charitable. It's similar, I would guess, with serving in the military. And I only guess this because I've talked to an awful lot of vets that have told me this, right? Like, it's not as if, like, we demand everyone bow down when they see us. They're like, we served. We did what we thought was right, That's it's exactly nice when people, like, respect that, but that doesn't mean that we're wanting people to treat us like, venerated to the point where you can't disagree with us or anything of that nature. And so I see this a lot. Like, I could do this. Like, with COVID, you saw this. Remember the real heroes, those that work in the healthcare industry, right? I could be a fucking prick and talk about how a big-hearted good man. For 14 years, I worked with people with intellectual disabilities, with autism. I did that. Do you know how difficult that was? You know how hard it was to be part of their life? At one point, before we really knew how severe COVID was, I knew it was bullshit, but my guy got COVID and I had to spend a month away from my family because I had to be isolated in the house with him because someone had to be there, so I intentionally put myself in a position to be infected with COVID. Did you know that? That's what did you do? What did you do? No, the truth is, if I'm really honest, I did that job because of paycheck. Now, I deeply cared about the people I took care of, but this doesn't make me some hero. It makes me a dude that was going to work any more than my buddy, Long Nate that's a truck driver. You know how important truck driving is? Do you know how dangerous that job is?
Logistics is one of the most important jobs in the United States. Yes, without it, everybody's boned.
He wouldn't view himself as a hero. He would just say, I'm doing a job. That's it. And so, there's an awful lot, like, even fucking, as far as I'm concerned, I know there's different levels of this shit, but like, man, maybe you're just a Walmart cashier or greeter. Yeah, okay, you're not putting your life on the line, you know. Well, you can always fucking get hurt driving to work or some lunatic could come, but you get the point.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, your job could really make a difference. Just your everyday interactions with people could really brighten someone's day and put them on a positive path for great things to happen. So I don't belittle like people's work and stuff. And I also have always tried to not say that the things I've done for employment uh, speak to me as being an ethical person or somehow have credentials. Now, if it's challenged, I'll say. But yeah, I'm trying my best not to do that. So
No, you're doing fine. Some people look at it as something that they feel they need to be thanked for. And others, there are those out there who don't even want people talking about it or knowing about it. I'm one of those weirdos. Sorry, it's just how I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel I would be.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard for people, right? Like once they know it changes how they interact with you, right?
Yes, that's exactly it.
And it's like, so better to just, you know, it's, I don't know. I almost said something stupid. I'll say it this way. You know, it's like if you had a tragedy happen in your life, I know people that this happened, they don't want people to know. Because once people know, then that becomes, oh, it's the guy whose wife was in that car wreck and passed away. That's that guy. And that influences how they interact with you. A lot of times you're just like, I would just rather not deal with that, you know? So,
which this is something I want to say to everybody out there. Some of us vets are okay with talking what we did. Some of us aren't. Some of us had a rough time. Some of us had a great time. But no matter what, the one thing we don't want is to be treated differently for it in your eyes. Where we're doing our best to try to be like one of you after we've gotten out, we don't want you becoming one of us. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I had you know, when you're young, it sounds cool, right? When I'm like 12, like serving in the military is like the most badass thing. Like everybody was Rambo to me, you know, that went over there. You don't think about like, you know, PTSD or, you know, people losing their friends and shit like that over there or being harmed. You're just like, wow, you were in the jungle, you know, you were doing this, that, and the other. It's crazy, right? And I had an uncle, real cool guy I was very close with, and he served in Vietnam. And one day I was asking, it was because someone told me, like my cousin told me, he's like, yeah, man, he took some people out and asked him about it. Well, he did. And, you know, basically over in Vietnam, there were a lot of soldiers that they were fighting against that were young. And my uncle started to tell me about it and teared up. And that's when I realized at like 12 years old, like, wow, this isn't like a game. This isn't like, oh, everybody's super cheery. You're like, fucking right, I'm a badass. I did this. Like, it really devastated him, his time over there. And he was a medic. And, taking someone's life's no joke, even if it's legitimate. It's in war. And watching people be injured, whether it be enemies at the time, whether it be your fellow soldiers, it's no fucking joke. And my uncle will never know how much that impacted me at 12 years old. And for me, even though I never served, I at least tried to implant in myself that war is hell. And I'm not flippant about like the declaring of it and the wanting to jump into it. Because I know whether it be our soldiers and our people or whether it be, you know, young men on the other side of the battlefield, that it's going to result in a lot of pain and suffering. And so I at least try to get that, I try to keep that in my mind because it's so easy to be a tough guy, particularly if you've never served. Fuck it. Let's make that place a parking lot. Let's go, blah, blah, blah. Send the boys in. Let's take care of it. Yeah, it's easy when it's not you and your kids, you know.
I'm not going to lie. I've said, glass it and turn it into a parking lot of it's myself, but, you know.
I understand. But the point, well, and even then, that reminds me of something weirdly enough. They're saying about the bombing of these Venezuelan boats. I hope this is the right person. I saw one of the Democrats say something to the effect of, well, Trump's putting our soldiers at risk by this double tap thing. And it's like, well, listen, you could be against the attacks. That's fine. But the double tap itself putting our soldiers at risk, their explanation of what they wanted to have happen was once the first attack hit and there were survivors that were apparently calling in reinforcements, that we should have sent our soldiers to go pick them up.
No.
While reinforcements are... Now, that clearly is putting the soldiers more at risk, right?
It's putting their lives literally
right,
in danger.
because and it was sort
You're
of the
putting them in
conversation.
harm's way in a line of fire. They can be
Correct.
set up for an ambush, especially if it becomes a habit like what happened during Vietnam. You'd have guys going in to help with supply or to remove supply lines, and when it became the same pattern every time they get attacked for it. And that could be the same thing that ends up happening if we're sending soldiers in to rescue these guys when their boats get blown up. It can turn into an ambush situation or an attack situation, and you don't want either.
And like my understanding is it started with, I was reading this the other day, a veteran said on X, he was like, basically from the moment we strapped missiles onto Predator drones, every attack's a double tap. There is no potential of sending in boots on the ground to like apprehend a target. So like when we're in Afghanistan or we're in Syria or we're in Yemen and we're bombing, there was never an intent, we're going to bomb once and then we're going to send boots on the ground and medics to try to get, no. It's just, no, you can hate that policy and that's perfectly legitimate. But the idea that this is somehow unique to the Trump administration is nonsensical. This has been sort of standard policy. And again, if you don't like it, then push for like sort of this to be revoked. But the truth is war is hell. And there are things that I think clearly cross the line into war crimes that I would be against. Like if you saw U.S. service members legitimately torturing people just for the hell of it, yeah, I'm against that. In fact, I'm against torture in general. I guess you could get into a question of like the 24-hour scenario where it's like someone has a nuclear weapon that's about to deploy and can, whatever. But let's take that out of it. So there are things that I would be like, and I'm very critical of militaries, including the U.S. military, and what I think is heinous shit that goes on. But the idea of like a lot of the shit that you see, the problem's war in the first place. Like the idea that we're all sitting here like, well, when you're attempting to brutally kill your opponent, here's the rules that we have to follow right down to the T. It's
That's
like
goofy on its own. And
yeah.
we said the same thing. War is war. It's ugly. Okay. It's not meant to be pretty. If you can put down your adversary, I'm trying to keep TUS the best I can for you.
Yeah.
If you're trying to put down your adversary, you're not worried about the way you do it. You're worried more about how it gets done. If you can do it ethically, that's fantastic. If you can't, you got to do what you got to do. It's you versus them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously things that like are precursor planned events that like if the United States would be like, we're going to use mustard gas. Yeah, that's fucked up. I can see.
No, not
right.
that.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about like, here's a military target. You could say, we don't think that should have been designated a military target. Fair enough. But once it is, that dude Bradley that's leading that mission, he's like, okay, here's my target. He's not going to be like, okay, we hit it once. Now let's check. Oh, it looks like that guy's alive. Is that guy alive to the point where he can still be an enemy combatant? Or is he alive to the point where he needs medical assistance? Well, we better send in boots. Let's send a boat in to check. That's not going to happen. That's bullshit.
I think a lot of people don't realize, even though they're used to how our ordnance works, and the U.S. has a very good track record for how ordnance works minus World War II. And people forget there was a time where we were firing torpedoes during World War II at boats that would just bounce off them. They didn't detonate. They didn't do nothing, didn't even leave a dent or a ding. And we're talking not one, not two, not three, 9 torpedoes out of one vessel, I believe, was the worst that occurred. And it bounced off of its target every single shot. Now, our ordnance today is a lot better, a lot more advanced, and it's far more effective. It usually goes off, but there's always that chance it won't. So if you expect them to only drop one thing and call it a day, you're dead wrong. There's no country that's going to do that ever.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. And again, the last thing I'll say about this, and I'll let you go, is the people that are the most vocal about this didn't have shit all to say about Ukraine. And I see these videos of these Russians that would be considered hors de combat. These Russian troops that are out of it, that are surrendering, put their gun down, or they're wounded. And I've seen Ukraine bomb them. And it's fucked up, and the celebration it's fucked up, but also war is hell. I get it, right? And the idea that, like, the same people that are not only fine with that, but are celebrating it on social media are all of a sudden going to clutch their pearls because of some grainy footage that shows a boat being attacked twice. It's just laughable, and it shows a misunderstanding of how these sorts of drone strikes are proffered always by any country. You think that Europe's doing it differently? Of course not. It's the same shit everywhere. And it's just this pearl clutching because it's politics. That's all that's going on. So.
You're 100% correct. That's all it is. If If this was as serious as things used to be in the 90s, it wouldn't be their boats were striking. I mean, look at what happened during Desert Storm.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, hey, thanks so much, Farrah, for calling in. Always appreciate your support, and I really appreciated the call, man.
It was nice talking to you, Rob. I only got one last thing to say as I go. I'll try to make it as quiet as I can. Sure. Baby Avarice!
Any moment now. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Baby Avarice is here. His name's Riddick. I wouldn't be surprised if he's here. But I told him, I was like, don't bother calling me.
We were like, that's an awesome name.
Yes, it is a great name. So, yeah, I'm pumped too. I'm sure he appreciates that and all the prayers for him, his son, and his wife. So, thanks so much, Farrah. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. You take care.
All right. A couple more super chats in the next caller. Mason Hifner, thanks so much. New member, really appreciate it. Abel, thanks so much. $5 says, Rob, your piece on par with Andrew. I sucks. You're on the same side because you versus Andrew would be the ultimate verbal combat. We debated a couple times. We're just tired of debating each other because we don't want to give the left good talking points. Red Fox, $20 says, paradoxically, criticism of the military is very patriotic. This apprehension and reduced military service in Congress actually makes military life harder. It shields senior leaders from accountability. Eisenhower warned us. Totally agree. And some of the people that I've seen protest sort of the military actions more than anyone are service members, particularly those that sell combat. Who would know better? Airborne Animal, $5 says, people think that things work like in Hollywood. You engage your target with no half measures. You make sure your mission is complete. One of the arguments I have with people several times, it's usually not about military, it's about law enforcement. Several times I've had this argument on stream and at least once off of stream. When you'll see an action where the police shoot someone and they die, and if it's legitimate, so like someone's running at the cop with a knife and the cop deploys their firearm and takes the person out, they'll say, why didn't they shoot them in the leg? It's so fucking silly. It's like, you have no idea. Now, I also have no idea. I'm not in law enforcement. I'm not in military. I've never had to shoot at a person. But I'm smart enough to know I don't know. And I know the idea of training people to fucking shoot for areas of the body that would be very hard to hit, like a leg. And I've shot many times in my life. It's fucking not as easy as you would think if you're just watching movies or playing video games. It's not easy. Even a target that's like 10 feet away from you, if it's moving towards you, it's tough. You're panicking, right? And also, the idea of intentionally trying to wound people on the leg, even if you did get someone in the leg, there's no evidence that that would stop them in the moment. And many places consider the intentional wounding of someone to itself be sort of a human rights violation. So it goes to show, and it's similar with the military, like with stuff like this. It's like, I feel that some people just have no clue. Now, that's not to say that you can't criticize these strikes. That's fine. I think the criticism, the better criticism is more on, should we be attacking these boats in the first place? Not the double tap. That seems nonsensical to me. But we explained that early in the week. Next up, a name you'll know. We haven't talked for a hot minute. Always supporting me, AJC. What's happening today, man? How you doing?
I just got off work and grabbing some food, but I parked, so I'm not driving to make it safe.
Well, that is amazing. That video, so just between me and you, the video I showed last night of on January 6th of me driving to Walmart, I'm looking at the camera a little too much while I'm driving there. I'm like, so I stopped that shit. I was safe, but I don't want to. So I totally get it. And you'll notice like a lot of people that call in while they're driving, like How Long Nate or Level 4 Lobster, they're never looking at the camera. They're just, it's just on in the background. But I get it. Parking, best call, so.
Yeah, so I have a few things to talk about. First, congratulations to Avarice. Am I coming through okay? Is my audio all right?
Yeah, you're coming through fine. The audio is just a little chirpy, but you're fine. Yep.
Okay, and it's a great thing to be a father. He's so lucky to be there, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to even be there for their kids. So I mean, it's awesome. And about the January 6th thing, it's crazy because I remember I had a family dinner not too long ago. I think it was during the summer, I think in October. And my cousin came from Texas, and he's a hardcore Trump fan. And then my grandma's a Democrat. So when they just got into it, I'm sitting there, I'm like, there's like three things you don't bring up at the dinner table: it's politics, sexual orientation, or religion. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's
That
one of those
okay.
things.
Yeah. Now we have to add to the list, right? Like gender identification and but no, you're absolutely right. My dad was never really political. He's a Trump supporter, but he'll criticize. He's similar to me. He'll criticize Trump all the time. And then his sister, who's one of my favorite aunts, he has like 9 sisters, so it's one of my favorites. She, the biggest Trump hater you've ever met, and they can't help themselves. Like anytime you're at a family function and they're both there, my aunt's gonna start shitting my dad, and my dad, to his credit's always like, I don't want to talk about this. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. It's so awkward though. Now after the Charlie Kirk thing, I've resonated to, if it's not family or very close friends, if I'm somewhere and some person that I know through a friend comes up to me at some function and starts talking shit about politics, I'm going to let them have it. But yeah, like Thanksgiving table and stuff like that, I try my best. I'm just like, I got a lot of right wingers. Well, not a lot. I got a few right wingers in my extended family that are not Trump fans. And they're very, what about this Trump stupid thing? I'll just say this. I'm like, you're right. Anyways, pass the turkey. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it, you know?
That's how it was at my family gatherings. Like my cousin got into it with my grandma. Was like, you're at grandma's house right now, dude. You come from Texas, you know, this is supposed to be a special occasion. And you're sitting here ripping into my grandma saying that it was all set up and conspiracy and everything. I'm just like, this is kind of disrespectful to grandma, you know what I mean? It's like, you never come here. And it's just one of those things where you just don't bring those things up because it got pretty heated and everybody's like, my grandma told him to get out of the house, like
Oh,
after they
shit.
got into it. I'm just like, oh my god, like, this is crazy.
Well,
But
it's now here's the thing. It's sort of like use of force. Self-defense is one thing. So if people are criticizing you and heavily coming at you and you defending like verbally, that's one thing. To aggressively go out and start, I'll give you another example of where I thought right-wingers were wrong. During the pandemic, right? There were people that were intentionally going out to like random strangers at like the grocery store with masks, like talking shit on them. It's like, no, if they choose to wear the mask, fine. My policy was this. If you're the piece of shit that's on the left, that's like, excuse me, that person's not wearing a mask. The state law says they have to. Fuck you. But if you're on the other side and you're like, this is bullshit. This private store says I have to wear a mask. Just leave. Just be like, okay, taking my business elsewhere. See you later. You know, but to just sit there and scream at some fucking 18-year-old, cashier at Walmart or something. So it's the same way with like politics at the dinner table. Like, if you bring it up aggressively in a family setting, whether you're on the right or the left, you're wrong. Don't do that. Right? Like it's not worth it. So
yeah, I never got vaccinated, and I wasn't working at the time when the pandemic happened. And I was going through my things with addiction and everything during that time. So like, I never really had to deal with all that. But my mom, she works for a school district. She was a CFO at a school district, and she had to get mandatory vaccines. Like, or else they won't let her work. So it's like it's one of those things where they had to, you know. What I mean, but I never got vaccinated. I didn't believe in it either. I was so out of my mind back then. About what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? It's like,
yeah,
no,
5.
someone's
Yeah.
wrong with that. Yeah, so like I was thinking like, man, they're trying to microchip me and they're trying to track me down. I was like, I was so crazy back then. I was like, I didn't like the idea of being getting injected with something I didn't even know what it was about. So it's just
Well, that's
one
not,
of
I
those
mean,
things.
the idea that they put microchips in and stuff aside, it's not crazy to say, look, this vaccine that they rushed along, that all of a sudden they went from saying, I don't believe it, this was rushed too fast, said the Democrats too. Not only is it safe, but you should have to take it. Like, you have a right to be skeptical. My job doing healthcare here in Pennsylvania, very similar. There was a vaccine mandate for us. Now, what happened was, the law was going to be that I'm going to screw up my dates. Like, I think it was January 2022 that you had to be vaccinated by then to continue working at my company because of the state law. And they rescinded that beforehand, right? But what happened was there was an awful lot of people that come November are like, well, fuck, I only have a month and then I'm out of a job if I don't get vaccinated. So I'm going to do it. And so they went and got vaccinated, and then the law got rolled back. And now what people say is, yeah, but like in Pennsylvania, it actually never happened. It never went into effect. Yes, but the threat of it going into effect is what caused an awful lot of people to go out and get vaccinated, because you're not looking at it like, I'm going to wait until the day before that it's legally mandated and then go get my shot because something could happen. Then you're out of a job. So you're like, well, shit, I guess I'll go get this. If you wanted the vaccine, it was available. And particularly in my line of work with like healthcare, you would get put to the front of the line. Like my company would help you. They had people coming into work giving the vaccine. So yeah, it was a fucked up situation where they were like intending or where they were forcing these vaccines on people. And of course, we've just rewritten history though. But yeah, you're right. You were right to not get that vaccine and be skeptical of it through force. Now, if you did get the vaccine, I'm not saying you made the wrong decision. I'm just saying that the idea of forcing people was wrong. And yeah, it was a crazy time back then. We'll be there again, though. You'll get to live through it. They're going to
I
do
was
some
happy
more
to get
shit
that
like
stimulus check money though too. I was like, I got stimulus check money, and I'm not even doing anything. Like, it was awesome. Like, I was happy
give me
about
that
that.
stimmy. Yeah, yeah. And that was so hard. I remember like I was criticizing the stimmy sort of made sense. If there was ever a time that it made sense, once the government says, hey, by the way, you able-bodied people that want to work, you're not allowed. At some point you could understand being like, okay, well then you have to give us something, right? Like you can't just be like, you're not allowed to work and go fuck yourself. Now you can't pay your bills. Like, so they give the stimmy check. I get it. But man, it was obvious what would happen, that it was going to be used fraudulently between that and the PPP loans. And the results speak for themselves. People got those stimulus checks and they were very excited. And then we saw one of the largest transfers of wealth from the poor and working class to the upper class. That's socialism in a nutshell. Hand out free money to everyone. Okay, now we have mass inflation. You know?
Yeah, I was degenerate with my money. I went to the casino. I'm like, I'm gambling. I made like 8 grand back, and I'm like, I'm happy now. I'm like, this is cool. I'm like, I flipped that money into
Ah,
something. Then bought
dude.
2 cars that didn't work for like 2-3 months, and then they break down and buy another one. And like, I just spent that money like it was not because the kid easy come, easy go. You know, it's just like it's just one of those things. And I wasn't working for a long time too. I was out there running amok and doing causing trouble. So I was like, man, I'm getting free money while I'm not even doing anything important with my life at the moment. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I know the feeling. And it is like that with like free check. It's one thing if you work, right, and earn your money, then you have a little more appreciation. I used to think of it all the time. So I made like roughly when I left my job $21 an hour. So let's say I was making 20 bucks an hour. If I go to like, Burger King, and it's like, oh, the meal I want, the Whopper meal is going to be
And I'm
11
not,
bucks.
I'm not
Hey,
gonna
there
go
you
do
go.
that.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, fuck, that's 40 minutes of work. And then if once you factor in taxes and all that shit, that's probably an hour and a half of work. You're like, yeah, fuck that. Fuck that Whopper for an hour and a half. Nope. If I'm looking at it like that, like, I'm not willing to spend an hour and a half of my life just so I could get this. But when it's just free money handed to you, then it's different. It's like, oh, well, it's government money. By the way, this also applies to like sort of companies and whatever that get finance, NGOs, etc. They get money from the government. My company, it was insane. The rules and regulations to do the healthcare stuff, because so much of the money was getting financed through the government, the state government, not really the federal government, was insane. For example, uh, my guy that I took care of had a basketball and it got a hole in it or something. And so he wanted a new basketball. He's on a very limited budget. We're talking like he got like $1 a day. So to go out and buy a $9 basketball, kind of Now, I'm not allowed to use my money and buy basketball. And you might say, well, why does that make sense? That's called commingling of funds. And there's two reasons I can't do that. One, because so many times what happens is, well, I'll buy you a basketball. And then a little later, you know what? You'll buy me pizza today. You can't do that. You can't take their money. The other thing is, because if I start spending my money on my client, what happens when the next employee comes in? Now the client's like, you're going to buy me shit too. If not, I'm going to be upset because Rob bought me stuff, so why won't you? So it's unfair. So you're not allowed to do that. So I petitioned my company. I was like, hey, can we get like a basketball? Can you send us $10? Not allowed to do that. Nope. Can't do it. The money cannot buy my guy possession like that. But my guy was a fisherman. They would literally pay hundreds of dollars to get us a tour on a boat with like a fishing captain to go out in Lake Erie and fish. They'd spend like $800 on that because that's not a possession. So that fell into a different category of expense. So I'm like, so you mean to tell me you can't give me $10 for a fucking basketball, but you'll rent us a cabin in the woods for a weekend and spend $1,000, or you'll rent us a boat with a captain that we can go out fishing? Yep, that's the rules. So like the idea of like, I know what you're talking about is different, easy come, easy go when the government's sending you money, but it's very similar to like government money is insane the way people treat it,
same thing with the EBT food stamps. We're saying everybody's just buying soda and junk food. It's like that's
Yep.
not the point of you getting assistance for. Is not to be more unhealthier, then you get more medical bills, and then you have diabetes and all this stuff, and it's just causing more problems for everybody.
It's one thing to make, and this is when I did that debate. This is what they couldn't get through that guy's head. You absolutely have the right in this country, and you should, to make bad decisions for yourself. You should have the right to drink soda. We should not ban soda. If you want to go out and buy soda, have at it. However, the taxpayer shouldn't be forced to buy you soda. If we are going to have programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the idea of that is nutrition. It's that you can't afford the basic foods that you need to keep yourself alive, and so we will provide that.
Well, like Red Bull that has nutrition on the back of it. I'm like, is Red Bull really nutritious? Like, they have some nutrition facts on the back of it, and they're like, oh, you can buy that. It's like, that's not nutritious. Like, they have all these foods that say they have nutrition on it, but it's not really that nutritious of a food either. And like, I don't know how they do that, but
Yeah,
I don't like the idea of all that.
it's nonsensical, and what you see is these people that push, and I mean it's getting to the point where, again, it's the grand illusion. It's so corrupt and it's so endemic in our system that when you're in the middle of it, it's almost hard to see, right? It's like you're dropped into a forest of fucking snakes, and when all you see is snakes, you don't take a step back and go, holy fuck, this is really messed up. And so with this, the government spending is so huge and the corruption of it so wide that when you hear little stories like, billions of dollars of fraud in Somalia or with Somalians in Minnesota, tens of billions of dollars of fraud with the PPP loans, what can you do? And they make this argument. It's just a drop in the bucket when you consider the amount of money the government spends. Oh, they're sending millions of dollars to this country for transgender studies. Oh, well, no big deal. And everybody, all these people are getting rich off this economy we've created of fucking hardworking people's tax dollars that go into finance all this shit. Meanwhile, it's like, well, what are you getting for your dollars if you're working and you're being taxed? Social Security isn't going to be there by the time we retire, right? My fucking roads are falling apart in the cities I live in. Law enforcement's a joke. They want to fucking continue to defund it. What are we really getting for our tax dollars? And what you're asked is, well, just ignore all that. You got to keep funding this shit. We have to keep funding places like Harvard that fucking hate you, Rob, and hate your way of life because they're solving cancer. Really? So they'll only solve cancer if the government's funding it? I mean, they have hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars in endowments just sitting there, and they're on the cusp of solving cancer, and they're like, no, we'll only do it if the government gives us money. Fuck you. Right? It's clear bullshit.
Balding, right? I mean, they're solving bald, and now you can't go bald now. I mean, that's a cool thing, right?
I know. I've
all
been
the
waiting.
bald scientists to go and be more confident and start to discover more cures for other diseases because they're not bald anymore. All the scientists are all happy about it.
Yes. First they worked on solving erections and now baldness. Middle-aged men everywhere winning. So
that's like idiocracy, right?
Yeah. Well, AJC, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you for your support, and thank you so much for calling in, man. I really appreciate it.
Super chats in. It was nice. It's first call-in I've ever done to any show, so I appreciate you, Rob. It's always great to talk to you.
It's always great, man. Thanks so much. I'm honored that I was the first show you called into. Thanks so much, man.
All right, have a good day.
Yep. A great dude. Thank you. I have a lot of people that their first call ever was on my show, so thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Wicked Wally, $5 says, we can't all be as fortunate as me getting to sit with my future father-in-law and go, so how's Israel pissed you off lately? Yeah, it's nice when you're with groups of friends. You could, like, I have groups of friends that don't agree with me politically, and we could still talk about politics and we just laugh it off, right? Now, they aren't extreme lefties. One of them's a lefty, but he's not an extreme lefty, but we're friends. It's crazy when you think about it because my default position in life is to be sort of live and let live. Like, this dude, Josh, that, called in earlier, by the way, he should be unbanned. I think I got the right one. And that shithead Zris should be unbanned as well. But the, where was that? Anyways, sorry, I got confused by something. My nature is to be sort of like, you could disagree with me, no big deal. But the problem is that's what's in the nature of a lot of us right wingers, and that leads to sort of the Overton window being shifted so much against us over generations. So it's one thing to say we're not going to do that, we're drawing a line in the sand, while at the same time being like, look, when you're with close friends and family, no big deal. Speaking of people, I think I'm right about this. The first time I'm the first show they ever called into. Our good friend Fallen Heathen. Am I right about that? This is the first show you ever called into?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone really does this. I mean, is there any other shows to call into?
Not a lot. And it's one of the reasons, like, I struggle with, I got to be honest, I keep telling myself I'm going to limit this show to twice a week, the call-in show. But then I think that it's important because not a lot of other people are doing it. So I'm trying my best, I like it. I love the call-in show. It's just time. You got to, you know how life is, man. Like
I know like other people have like Destiny and them have people call in, but it's all through like Discord and shit like that, right?
Yep.
And I'm not very techie, so you make it super easy. I just got to click your link and it takes me directly to it. So
some TikTok people do it. I think like Parker and Dean do a call-in show.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's right. Like all the TikTok stuff. And see, I'm not on TikTok, so
yeah, me neither.
Plus, I like you more than everyone else.
Right. Well, here, let's see what oh shit. What am I? There we go. That's what Parker thinks about. He'll join us for this call now, but
yeah.
So what's on your mind today, man?
Well, you say Avarice is having a kid today, or not him?
Yes.
Well,
he's. I strongly suspect it's already happened. But
okay.
Yes, I talked to him a couple minutes before I came on, and it was basically they were like full dilation and they were ready to start.
Well, cheers, brother. Everyone always says how kids change you, and I was much like you. I never saw myself getting married. I definitely never wanted to have kids. Our firstborn was kind of an accident, but as soon as he came out and started crying, I broke down like a little baby. It literally was like a friggin' light switch went off, and I became a whole different human being, and my views on everything completely changed. It was pretty wild.
It is. I don't know. The two moments that I'll never forget. Well, three, I guess. The first is the least impactful, and you would be like, really? It was still very impactful. It was during COVID, right? And when we found out we were pregnant, and I was sitting on the couch. My wife's sister was staying with us at the time. So, and I'm good friends with her. So me and my wife's sister are like in the living room watching a movie or some shit. And my wife comes out and just hands me like one of those pregnancy sticks. And I was like, what's this? And she's like, what do you think? Now we had tried for a long time, and not to get into too many gory details, but it was a thing where we were starting to go to doctors and seeing like, well, what could we do? And all of a sudden, and so it was like, I couldn't believe it. I was ecstatic. I was super excited. But that was, we were probably watching One Tree Hill. Yeah. So that was the first moment. The next moment was like, okay, I'm very excited. We're having a kid. But it was the first ultrasound where it took my breath away, where you could actually see your son. Oh man, it was because
dude, I was young. I was 20 years old when my wife got pregnant with our first one. And at 20 years old, I mean, I had nothing going for me at the time. All I wanted to do was go out and party. I wasn't even sure, how long me and her were going to even be together. So yeah, it was a huge eye opener. But something happened over the weekend. A guy commented on one of my videos and had said, because he's a recovering addict too, it sounds like, and was like, man, I was so blessed to not have kids while I was going through that. And my, response was, if it wasn't for my kids, I may not have ever gotten sober. And it's this weird dichotomy between those two lines of thought, because I did have friends that were addicts, both him and his wife, and they had kids. And I was like, fuck, I couldn't imagine if my wife and I were both addicts going through that, trying to get sober, like how hard that would be with kids involved. But at the same time, like I said, if it wasn't for my kids, I wouldn't ever really had the motivation to get sober.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was my wife. It was meeting her. But I was, I was an alcoholic pretty much. And, I say that a lot. Alcoholic could mean a lot. Like addiction could mean a lot of different things. For me, it was like, I didn't really have physical withdrawals or anything. It was just, this is how I would deem that I was an alcoholic. When I drank, I was drinking to get fucking smashed. It wasn't like I was having one or two beers. So anytime I cracked open a beer, I was getting fucking hammered. that night. Like if I cracked one,
you were a drunk. Alcoholics need it to like depend on.
Yeah, but here was the other reason I consider myself an alcoholic, because every waking day that I didn't have work, I was drinking. Now, the nature of my work was I was doing this debate coaching stuff. So basically my primary work days were like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if I had a debate tournament stuff, I was very serious. I was never drinking on them. And I always showed up for my obligations. And when I had other jobs, I was not drunk when I showed up. So I mean, I was drinking a lot, but I never felt physically addicted. I'd known people that were alcoholics to the point where it was like when they got withdrawals, they felt like they were gonna fucking die when they weren't drinking.
Alcohol and benzodiazepines like Xanax are the two chemicals that you can actually die from the withdrawal if you quit cold turkey.
Yeah. So for me, but so I was like a social drunk. I was never drinking myself. I was going out, but still, it was a problem. It really was. And what got me off of it was my wife. And she was someone that went, when we first met, she had just turned 21. So we would go out to the bars and stuff. And then once we started dating a little more, it wasn't that we made a decision like, well, this is a problem, we need to stop. It's just, we realized we don't need to go out like that. We're doing, we're hanging out ourselves and we're having fun. And so less and less and less. And then, finally there came a point where it was like, I realized like, wow, after like 3 years around the time when we got married, it's like, I'm not really going out to the bar much anymore. And I kind of hate it. And actually, if I do want to drink, it's more, well, people could come over to my house or I could go to their house. And then maybe that went from, when I first met my wife, that it was 4 nights a week. And then after a year, maybe it was 1 night a week. And then all of a sudden, by the time we got married, it was maybe once every 2 weeks. And then within a year or two after that, it was like, at this point, maybe I'll go out and drink 3-4 times a year. Maybe. Yeah. And it's just, it was never that she'd tell me right now. If I tonight was like, hey, I called some of my buddies, we're going out to bar tonight. She'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Just make sure you're not driving. If you need me to pick you up, fine. Have fun. Yeah. That would be that. She wouldn't give a shit. But everyone always assumed, like your friend group, and I'm sure you experienced this, if you have a problem with a substance, right, one of the hardest things to realize is if you're trying to get off it and you're hanging out with the same friends that are still doing that, it's fucking near impossible. And so, like, I had a lot of friends that were like, they blamed my wife, like, well, she won't let Rob go out. It was not that.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't want to anymore because I realized there was more. And then on top of that, having a kid, it really puts the priorities in that it's like, oh yeah, this is, the idea that I'm going to go out and party and stuff. It's just, no, there's other things to live for. So.
Right on. Well, the reason why I actually called in was dude, everything's falling apart. I mean, Candace Owens has gone completely rogue and is tearing TPUSA down. Tim Pool's talking about quitting his show now because somebody shot up at his house over the weekend. And like you were just talking about earlier about Trump and, all these, trying to prosecute the other side. And when Trump's out of office, dude, I just feel like this whole thing is going to come crashing down because we're losing. Like the left is winning. They killed Charlie Kirk. Now Tim Pool's afraid to do his show. What other content creators are going to start getting afraid to do their show? Tim has a family now, wife and kids. So he's like, it's not worth it to me. How many other creators are going to get to that point? Like they're slowly chipping away at the MAGA movement, at conservatives in general, dude.
Well, I think that, so there's a couple things to look at with this, like the Candace Owens stuff. Like, look,
he's out of control.
Here's what's happening, right? As you start to see the Overton window switch, right? And people just understand that like the mass censorship that we had either through suggestion or enforcement by the government or by just sort of the cultural narrative that they were able to sort of have a tight fist on, as you release that pressure and those restrictions, inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to see excess on the right. So you're going to see people that are just sort of batshit crazy on the right. It might be people that are constantly spurging out about, Jewish people. It might be people that are just saying some like fucked up shit without evidence about, Candace with Turning Point USA, etc. Right? That's going to be what happens. And you understand that, right? Because these people that believe those sorts of things, right, they're going to feel like now's our chance. Things are swinging back towards us a little more. I don't think the average person's going to go that way. I don't think they're going to go too much in that. You're going to see it's going to look worse, right? And so you see a lot of this infighting now on the right because what happens is a lot of these groups are like, yes, this is it. It's no longer the Mitt Romney party. It's coming closer to us, and now we're going to take over. And the truth is, even if you're watching your biggest Nick Fuentes fan, we're not going to be Groypers, right? They're not going to win a big national movement. It's not going to happen. If it was ever going to be the chance that it would happen, it would require decades. And here's the problem, and this is what sort of Nick and company understand. They almost need to cheer for accelerationism. So you don't want someone like Trump that might incrementally make things slightly better, because that's no good. What you want is the other side to keep making things incredibly shittier and worse. That way more people come to your movement out of desperation, right? So it's a lot to criticize Trump for in his administration, don't get me wrong, but I understand the people that want him to fail that are maybe on the right. Now, I'm not saying that's what Nick wants. I'm not. But with Candace Owens and company, you see a lot of this craziness. I think, though, the shit with the Tim Pool stuff and the rest, yes, on one hand, it's desperate. And if the Democrats win again, that shit's going to continue to escalate. Totally true. But I also see it as somewhat as the last dying gasp. I don't mean dying like their movement's almost done, but they're desperate, right? They understand it. They're like, oh, fuck. The same old tricks and tools aren't going to work. If the Trump administration could just stop falling on their face and actually do the shit that was promised, focus on things back here at home, focus on, they've done a good job of securing the border, focus on deportations, focus on housing prices, focus on the people that are here, that are citizens, focus on them. And Trump's been saying some good things the past week and a half, so we'll see if those policies push forth. So on one hand, you're right. Things are desperate. If the left wins,
I'm just afraid we're losing so many of our strong voices, like Charlie, like Candace used to be before the whole Israel or the whole, Daily Wire, debacle. Now Tim Pool, like these are big voices that we're potentially losing, or we did have lost.
Well, I don't think Tim will quit, and if he does, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's different, man. When you're being targeted, look, I got to be honest, right? I've been targeted very little, like compared to Andrew. Andrew's been targeted way more than me. I'm just, I'm a little pissant on the grand scheme of things. Tim Pool's a dude that gets fucking targeted. Tim Pool's been swatted how many times? Now someone shot at his property the other day. Like, Tim Pool's a guy that, especially after what happened to Charlie Kirk, you could see some fucking lunatic doing something to Tim Pool. And let's be honest, there's basically no ramifications whatsoever for the left taking out Charlie Kirk. They haven't suffered any consequences as a political movement. They haven't, or even culturally. And so, at some point, if you're rich and you're like, I don't know Tim's finances. I presume Tim Pool's probably set financially the rest of his life based on what he's done and been able to accomplish, right? So could anyone blame Tim for being like, listen, I think he has a son now, am I correct? Or a child now?
He has a daughter.
A daughter. You know what? I got a lovely lady that I'm with. I got a daughter. I'm wealthy. Kudos.
Well,
I'm gonna catch up.
That's what's choking him is the amount of money he's having to spend now on security. And, he flies his guest in, he pays for room and board and all that. And it's just like financially, and now with this huge increase in security and stuff, it just sounds like it's becoming too much for him. And he's like, why the hell am I doing this? Like you said, I have a family. I should just kick back and retire. And it's like, I get where he's coming from, but it sucks.
Yeah, and look, I ask myself this. I ask Andrew this. At what point do you hang it up? At what point do you say, listen, I've provided... it's like this in anything, right? Like, you're a truck driver, right? And all of a sudden, you work your ass off for 5 years for some company. You're making a ludicrous amount of money, right? You're hauling some real dangerous, oversized material, right? And you're just pounding the pavement every day for 5 years. At some point, you might say, you know what? I've saved up enough. I don't have to do this. I want to start a family. Good luck to the next generation of people doing it. Well, when you're a public face out there, and I don't give a shit, even if you're on the left, though I think you're far less likely to be the victim of violent crime on the left than on the right, or be targeted culturally in the same way. But at some point, you just got to be like, is this worth it? Would it be not? Imagine Tim Pool if he was just like this. If somehow he could erase his identity, keep the money he has, erase his identity, and I don't know, what's Tim like to do? Go play poker games the rest of his life as just some random anonymous guy, has enough money to provide for his family? You can't lie and say that that's not appealing, right? And so it does. It becomes, when you think about this, it's like, I got to tell you right now, for me, and I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but honestly, my dreams, buy a big RV and never have to worry about finances again in my life and fucking spend time with my wife and my son and my parents while they're still alive. That's it, man. That's it. I don't need, like, when I was a younger man, maybe I was this, like, I'm going to change the world. I don't need it. I'm more than happy. Let's say that right now, that there's someone watching my channel right now that's 20 years old and they start streaming tomorrow and they do what I do except 10 times fucking better. They're more entertaining. They're a better debater. They got the politics down. I'm going to support that person to the end. I'm going to be like, yes, great. Good, because if I ever decide to hang it up, I know there's a person coming along that could do it even better than me, and we're going to be okay. And that my world, I never needed to be the big man. I just want to provide for my family. And at this point, I'm looking around. This has happened to me several times in my life. I'm like, why does it have to be me? Like when I did the home healthcare shit, I'm working for this very violent guy. And I remember thinking, like, one day, the doctors hated this guy. No one in my company would deal with this guy. The stepmom was scared shitless and wouldn't visit the guy. The police hated this guy. And I remember sitting there one day after a particularly violent incident, and I'm fucking ended up going to the hospital because I was hurt. And I remember getting back to the house because they're like, well, if you don't want to work there anymore, you don't have to. And I was like, no. And I remember I thought to myself as my guy fell asleep, I was like, why the fuck did I come back here? Why? This makes no sense. And then I remember thinking, at this point in my life, I was someone, every day I didn't have work, I was drinking my fucking head off. I'm just like a drunk. And I was like, why am I the only person in the world that gives a shit about this guy? Why is it me? You mean there's not some doctor out there that took an oath or some nurse or some family member? It's me. Of all fucking people. If you would have saw me 4 months ago at the bar doing Jaeger bombs, fucking flaming Dr. Peppers and shit, you'd be like, this guy? That's the guy? And that's sort of how I look at politics sometimes. Like when I ran for Congress, I was like, how the fuck does it have to be me to have this message? Right. Why does it have to be me that sits in a message with like the Pennsylvania GOP? And it's like, yeah, you fucking idiots aren't doing anything to reach out to young people. You're not doing anything to reach out to fucking people in the inner city. What the fuck are you doing? Right? Why does it have to be me to sit down at a meeting and be like, what the fuck do you mean that your attack on Josh Shapiro for governor is going to be he's not Jewish enough? What the fuck are you talking about? But it does. And so as long as it has to be me, I'll keep going. But sometimes I wish it wasn't. And so I would imagine Tim Pool's got a very similar vibe. Tim's out there. For those that don't know, if you just know Tim Pool is wearing a beanie and fucking doing his show, Tim made his bones out there on the ground at left-wing riots. That's what he did. He was out there for Occupy Wall Street. He was covering it on the ground. And he was probably like, why is no one else doing this? Now
he had to stop doing that too because of the threats.
Yes. Yeah. And now you see, like, the way he does his show, there's probably part of Tim that says, part of my motivation to keep going is no one else is doing this. Yeah. Or at least not in the way that he likes. Yeah. And so it's like, I got to keep going. If there was someone else, if someone on Tim's team was doing exactly what Tim's doing or whatever, and he felt he could pass the torch, maybe he'd be more likely to do it. But as it is, he probably feels like, look, I think I'm doing good for the national discourse. I think our country's at a very dangerous place and we need strong voices out there, so I'm going to keep going. And that's how I would feel. If I won the lottery tomorrow for $1 billion, I'd still do this show. Why? Because I feel that I'm still doing some good. If it ever got to the point, though, where I was, wildly rich, where I didn't have to worry about money, and I thought, wow, here's a guy that's doing what I do just as good, if not better. Now, that's not to say there aren't people doing what I do as good or better, but they're not doing it in almost the identical way that I am, right?
They're not doing call-in shows.
Right. So that's why I would keep going. But I understand the appeal. I hope not, though. I hope Tim, whatever you all think of Tim, I think that he is a strong voice, and he's given a lot of people a great opportunity to build their audience, too, on the right. And so I get it. It's easy for us to sit back and say, come on, Tim, keep going. We're not the ones getting shot at. Yeah. That's property's getting shot. We're not the ones that have to spend probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on security, if not millions. So it's, at some point you're like, I get it.
All right. So last thing, that Brian Shapiro guy, my God, I listened to his conversation he had the other day with Warren Smith, and I wanted to pull my hair out. Like, you need to debate that guy, because so much of what he says is just CNN talking points, and everything is easily refuted. And Warren just isn't the guy to have that conversation. And it was driving me crazy listening to that conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it.
Well, good news.
Please tell me you're debating him.
I think that I don't know who it's going to be, but I got a call my man Jake Rattlesnake, but he messaged me yesterday at America Fest in Phoenix, I believe on the 21st, December 21st. Jake and me will be teaming up to debate Brian Shapiro and a partner of his choosing. Now, we don't have the topic worked out yet. We're talking about what the topic will be. But yes, I will get my opportunity. It won't be one-on-one, but Jake's a great dude, and he'll be an excellent debate partner. And so I hope Brian brings someone very talented.
It's going to be Destiny.
No, it won't be, because Destiny and Adam Mockler are following us, and they're debating Myron and Andrew. So
really?
They're not going to have Destiny on stage back-to-back. So it'll be, I don't know who he'll pick. Maybe he'll get Dean or Parker or someone. That would be fucking great. I'd love to give them the smackdown. So, yes, it should be a lot of fun. That's why I said when someone was like, if there's another debate between Andrew and Brian, Rob, you can moderate it. No, I don't want to now, because I'll be debating him here in a couple weeks. So,
that's awesome.
Hopefully,
did you listen to that Warren conversation?
No. I will, though, but I haven't.
Take the time to listen to it, because like I said, he sounds just like CNN talking, all these CNN talking points. And then when Warren pushes back, like, well, where's the evidence of these 34 felony counts? Like, I don't know. I mean, a jury came to that agreement in the end, and it's like, okay, well, just because they came to an agreement, they found O.J. Simpson not guilty. Just because they came to an agreement doesn't mean that it's true, or does, you know what I mean? It's just easily to pick his arguments apart. And I think he's just used to being a radio talk show, and he thinks that debating is yelling back and forth with some guy that calls into your show, not really understanding how like debates, like formal debates, like what you and Andrew do work.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, and it's one of our strongest advantages is my entire life, my adult life, any political position I had, because I was around a lot of lefties, particularly in debate, I had to learn that smart people are going to disagree with you and debate you. And so you got to get strong at that. So many of these lefties they've been in a bubble so much, they're not used to someone being like, no, that's wrong. And so they're just like, let me give you the easiest example. If you're debating Nick Fuentes and you're on the left, this is why they'll take debates with someone like Nick. One, he's a bigger audience, right? He's got a lot of people. But second, it doesn't matter how you're doing in the debate. You could just be like, you're racist.
Yeah.
You're fascist. And then your audience is going to eat that up. Oh, snap. That's like Andrew. Andrew could crush someone in a debate, right? Like he did that enemy Charlie. And at the end, she could just be like, well, here's your wife's previous relationship. Oh, the left's like, and it's like, yeah, that's nothing. And so, yeah, I haven't seen that conversation, but I will look into it, particularly if I'm going to debate him. So
yeah, listen to it. He keeps bringing up like that Aubrey, what's his name? Ahmed Aubrey incident, and says, they lynched him in the middle of the street. Just like wild shit, dude. Yeah. And I'm like, you are so off base with all this stuff. So yeah, I hope I'm glad you get to debate him, and hopefully you can cover all his talking points and stuff like that and pick them apart, because I think you'll eat him alive.
I can't wait. I think it'll be great. So, all right, man, I got to let you go. Thanks so much, Phone. Always appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
Our good friend AJC, $50. Again, thanks so much, man. Says, felt like it was a special day to call him for Avarice. Congratulations for your blessing. We all support you and your family. You'll be in our prayers. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And then $10 says the 21st, I'll be there. Be awesome to meet you guys. Now, it's not written in stone, but I'm buying my ticket today, I think. So I want to talk to Jake and Andrew just to confirm, because I don't know if it's like I get reimbursed by the people that are doing it or what have. So, but yes, it will be great. We're trying to get to that goal of 357. We're almost there, 24%. Get your donos in. Next up, we got the great Miggy. What's happening today, man?
One sec. Okay. What's good, Rob? Well, I guess I've been watching a lot of the whole fallout with everybody splitting apart and so. And honestly, it's not surprising given the fact that the crack was starting to form right after our victory in 2024. And honestly, this is one of the biggest weaknesses of the right. We need to have a centralized leader, a centralized figure to basically keep everybody together. The thing about the left, what makes it so hard to beat, is the fact that they don't have a centralized leader. They don't have a centralized figure to basically keep everybody together, because everybody pretty much is a tyrant of their own. Everybody enforces the same orthodoxy, and they don't need a leader for that. We have to have it in order for everybody to come together because all our views are very different from one another.
Well, I totally agree with you. And for those that want to, so your audio is very hard to hear today, but let me interpret what you said, just so, and you let me know if I'm right, so people can understand in the audience. That, like, what makes the left difficult to deal with is they don't have, like, really a de facto leader, right? It's sort of, they're all little mini tyrants in their own. And I
Yeah,
couldn't,
that's correct.
yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? So, like, it's one of the things I talk about a lot. Like, for the left, all they have to do is take out a few key people. And I don't mean through death, but that can work, like see Charlie Kirk. But like Trump, get him off the board, whether it be an assassination, whether it be an impeachment, whether it be sort of locking him up, whatever. Get him off the board. Now, they'll sacrifice some of their own people for that. I don't give a shit. Yeah, whatever. If lefties have to go down as well, they don't give a fuck. Because this is an ideology, right? And it's so pervasive in our systems, and the system, you know, who is, when I would say something like the deep state, the establishment, the swamp, things like that, who is that? There's not really a person. It's sort of this mechanism that's self perpetuating and gets more and more power for itself. Each individual within that system's easily replaceable. There's a person right behind them. You can just fill it in. Doesn't matter. Same's true with the FBI. You get rid of James Comey, and then you have Rod Rosenstein. You get rid of him, and you have Christopher Wray. And you just keep replacing these, they could just be nameless faces. It doesn't matter. And think about how
That's
this works.
what makes it so difficult to deal with. Because obviously, yeah, you might take out George Soros, let's just say you finally bring him down, put him in jail, whatever. Well, there's gonna be somebody else that's gonna keep funding the liberal judges, the activist judges and so. There's always gonna be some, like, the machine is so big, so massive, so effective, especially the fact that it's not at the top, it's all at the bottom too. And there's a huge support structure at the bottom, like your teachers, your board members, uh, or your bureaucrats. Everybody is engaged in that same machine, the consensus. I call it the tyranny of the consensus, because every time I see, like, when they talk about when we had the COVID situation, it was the consensus. The consensus said this, consensus said that. This came after post-war. The post-war consensus is a complete it was, I guess, I don't know, it was effective at the beginning, but it's become rotten from the inside. It's basically have become so overbearing that it's hard to get rid of. It's almost nearly impossible to get rid of. And every time, in every other tyrant we always think of is always one central figure, and when he goes, everything else goes with it. But this is a different despot. Like, Nixon warned about the new form of despotism will rise out from that won't be communist. And I think he's right, but I think he didn't realize the new form of despotism is not in Russia, is not in China, is not in North Korea or in Iran. It's here. It's in the West. This new form of despotism is the post-war consensus. This massive machine that's become unsustainable.
Well, and like, I'll let you go here. I do appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, the thing I always want to talk about that, like, illustrates this point is the IRS scandal with Lois Lerner under Obama. Lois Lerner specifically targets conservative groups for audits, and this is horribly corrupt, right? And everyone's like, oh, did Barack Obama order this? No, I don't believe he did. He didn't have to, right? These people within the system,
you don't need that.
That's right. And that's why it's so hard to even prove these crimes stuff. They're all in it. They know the mission. Just like you could say that everyone, like, I don't mean to make it just racial like this, but everyone knows that if someone does something wrong to a person, that they could scream, well, they're a racist. You didn't need someone to sit you down and tell you that. You just know. That's the job. That's what you're supposed to do. Right? And so it's simple to see that, like, that's what's going on. Miggy, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, man. We'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be on at 8, so hopefully you'll be checking out the show at 8 tonight. So.
Oh, I will.
All right, man. You take it easy.
You too.
Maxime, did I see the video from Coach Greg about Andrew? Didn't even get his name right, and it went downhill from there. I did not. Zach Gelpy, $20. Great to hear from you. So what you guys talking about is the nature of power. The only way to combat what you're describing is to take power and wield it for what we want. Agreed. They've set up the cultural system that says the default is that all of these people are on that side of it. And then we have individuals that rise up on the other side. But yes, if you don't wield power, that's inevitably what's going to happen. A couple more calls real quick. I do have a hard out at like 2:30. We're close to the goal, folks. Keep getting that money in. We're only about $65 away. So get those super chats in. Next up, we got Reality Strikes. What's up, sir? How you doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Sorry I don't have a lot of time, but what's happening? What's on your mind?
Oh, not much. It's a shame you don't have much time to chat, but I was just having a conversation with a friend. I was trying to explain the differences between what I view as the problems today of an individual mindset versus a group mindset. And one side seems to fall under the group mindset. And I'm trying to explain to him how, or convey my argument that when we lump people into groups, it's easy to become racist or sexist to those individuals, and that the only way to view the world is through individualism. And I'm having a hard time convincing him of this argument. What's your advice on relaying this idea?
Well, I don't disagree, right? However, there is utility at looking at things in groups as well. The truth is, we as humans would do both, right? Even if you take out sort of like a religious context, think what it would have been like for, our early ancestors. There's something biologically in us that we look at things and have some sort of immediate stereotypic group preference. There's a tiger. We're not going to be like, maybe this is a good tiger. Let's view this tiger as an individual. The same would be true then if you take it out to an outsider. You have a clan, a village, here comes someone that's an outsider. You view that through stereotypical of, this is my group, this is my tribe that I'm protecting. I understand that. What we need to do as we become advanced is understand that while it's natural and inevitable for us to have stereotypes and group preferences, what we should strive to do is understand that as more information comes available, we treat people on an individual level with more specific information. In other words, my group ideology or my group stereotype might be that tall people are good at basketball. And yet, if you're really tall and I watch you play basketball and you fucking suck, I'm not going to continue to say no. The collective group understanding I have outweighs the more hyper-specific individual message. The other thing is, unfortunately, what happens is, even if you want to go through life as an individualistic mindset and treat people as individuals, which you should, that's something that we should strive to do. The truth is, a lot of people will reciprocate by treating you as a member of a group. And at some point, then, you have to defend that group, or else that group's going to lose battle after battle culturally. For example, I don't really give a shit about being a white person, per se. However, there's a lot of people that do give a shit about that, and they're going to treat me like shit because I'm white. So should I ignore that? The same is true with being a man. Should I ignore the fact that there's going to be a lot of things, both culturally and even politically, that are derogatory to me because I'm a man? If I go and if me and my wife, God forbid, would separate and I try to go get custody of my child, the courts are going to be so skewed against me. At that point, it wouldn't matter that I say, excuse me, treat me as an individual. Sure, I could say that, and yet the statistics will be clear. And then you can see other areas where this matters, right? Like, we have to be able, I would say that absolutely you treat someone as an individual. So if I have a friend who became a legal citizen who's from Pakistan and is Muslim, and he's like a really awesome, great dude, that's how I treat him. And yet it would be erroneous to not say that we can see data all over the place that says that importing people from these parts of the world have very negative consequences. So it's definitely a fine line. Our goal should be to try to treat people as best as possible with the best information we have available to that individual person. But there's also utility in a general sense of saying, look, we have to be honest and not afraid to have conversations about collective groups. And when it's appropriate, we have to understand we're all tribal and it's okay to stick up for your tribe.
That makes perfect sense. And I completely agree with everything you said. I'm just having a hard time trying to convey the idea. And I agree with the group. We are naturally formed into groups and support each other's groups. It's just that it always seems to. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I know you're short for time, so.
You call in tomorrow? I'll be doing the call-in show tomorrow. So if you like calling, I would be happy to talk more specifics with you on it.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of things that I wanted to say, and I don't want to get into it now.
Yes,
because it's a pretty deep conversation.
Yes. Call in tomorrow, man. I'll be streaming around noon. Yep.
And we'll chat some more about it. But I appreciate you. Sounds great.
All right, man. Thanks, Reality. Take it easy. Zritz, also, let me know your name on StreamYards so I can make sure that you're not banned there. I don't think it is. I think I just removed you, but I want to make sure that you're not banned there. AJC for the goal. Day shift gets it done again. AJC, thank you. Go. Thank you. Airborne Animal, $10 says, what makes the left the most dangerous is that they believe in utopia that they think can actually be achieved. So they'll never stop. The right is generally content and just want to be left alone. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. All right, real quick. Our good friend Fight Sport Top. What's happening, my friend?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me on. I'll be very, very quick. So, first of all, just bit of laughs in the comments because I attacked. This was a while ago because I went after a few of Trump's cabinet. You thought that I was a Lindsey Graham fan, which I've never been called before. So that's pretty radical.
Well, Lindsey Graham would 100% agree with your stance on the Ukraine conflict, correct?
He would, but.
That's why I made the comment. I guess I could say this.
Okay,
There could be.
okay.
Can you give me the policies of Lindsey Graham that you disagree with?
100%. I think the guy's terrible. I agree with a lot of his foreign policy, not all of it, but he there's no question he prioritizes that over the domestic policy. Like when South Carolina was hit by a hurricane, he talked for it. He talked about it for like 30 seconds and then diverted to helping Israel. So I disagree with him there. He was pretty terrible on COVID. My ideal senator would be Ron DeSantis or Ted Cruz. And, I've got some questions about Trump before we go. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I get it. So I'll just say that, I guess I was making the point that, I would liken you to a neocon, right? That you would prefer, because I think that what separates the neocons is their aggressive interventionist foreign policy, which I would put Lindsey Graham in that. That's not to say that you would agree with the domestic issues of the neocons. So I guess I'll tailor my remarks to say, on foreign policy, you're a neocon. Is that fair?
Yeah. I would say I'm a Ted Cruz neocon. Like when Ted Cruz was interrogated, it wasn't an interview, by Tucker Carlson. He said, he talked about a middle ground. I forget which term he used. I didn't support the Iraq War, and that's coming out on my second channel sometime. But yeah, I didn't support the Iraq War, but I support getting Maduro out of power. I support the Ukraine war. I supported the Afghanistan war. I supported bombing Liberia. I supported the Korean war. So there's just some things that I want America to dominate the world. Put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So you're not a Lindsey Graham fan. Fine. You're still horribly wrong on your foreign policy. By the way, how's that looking today? Where turns out a lot of that money we sent to Ukraine was corrupt.
Well, I'm going to be covering that in a couple of interviews. I think it's terrible. I'm very there's no good way to say it. I mean, it's I've interviewed one guest about it, got a second guest today or tomorrow. Worst timing for this kind of stuff. And I mean, energy during winter, and they're already being bombed by Russia. So horrible. I wish that weapons were sent instead of money, so that this kind of thing can't happen. But there's always going to be corruption.
You'll have to call and we could talk about it length because I do got to get going. But I don't think that solves the problem because you could just take the weapons, sell them, and then keep the money. I mean,
right. Well, there's always going to be corruption in war. So hopefully Zelensky's friend who was a part of it is arrested and trialed, and
hopefully Zelensky's arrested and tried as well. He allowed this to go on.
Well, okay, that's up for debate. We don't know that for certain. If Zelensky is taken out, then Ukraine doesn't have a leader. So it's look, I'm definitely not. I keep saying it, Slava Ukraini, not Slava Zelensky. But if Zelensky was a mole from the very beginning, and then he wouldn't have stayed in Ukraine when Russia invaded, because the plan was to capture him, take him, and if he was given a chance by Biden to be evacuated, then the entire country would have fallen. So I'm open to the possibility he was a part of this, but I don't think there's enough evidence.
Let me just ask you real quick. If he was, should he be tried?
100%.
Okay. Even if that would mean that Ukraine would be without a leader.
100%. There's
Okay.
corruption. Corruption is what matters. But
Okay.
so
That's fair.
yeah.
That's a fair, honest answer. So, hey, man, I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. I do got to get running, but
Do you mind if I just ask you? This is just for future. I heard
real
all
quick,
the things you listed that aren't that the economy, things that Trump needs to improve on. Considering that he came from the worst or second worst president in history, depending where you put Obama, do you think the economy was fixable in the first year, or do you think this stuff will have to wait for next year? It's just the midterms of next year, so that's why we get you guys.
No, it certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't fixable in the way that people would be happy with it, right? The economy was set up so poorly that no matter who's in charge, they're going to get some blame for it. And Trump's done okay. In fact, real wage growth is actually up. That's taking wage growth minus inflation, a trend that was reversed under the 4 years of Joe Biden. So that's fine. The problem isn't that it wasn't fixable, and so therefore Trump's going to get unfairly blamed, which is partly true. The problem is that his priorities haven't even been on addressing it, both in the way that they talk and in the policies that they're advocating for. Doge was something that went away to explaining it. That's gone, and now it's Israel, now it's Ukraine, now it's Venezuela, and now it's a bunch of other shit. And so what happens is, and then when you have Trump out there going, I won't hear any more about an affordability crisis, that's poison. That's poison. And so that's what the real problem is. So I got to get going, though. I literally got to go pick up my son. So thanks so much. Appreciate it. I didn't set up my thing for Charlie Kirk again. Please, please, please. We're at exactly $357. If someone, now let me do the math on this real quick. If someone donates $357 as we go off the air, that'll get us right to 200%. Everyone who called in that I got little time with, please feel free to call in tomorrow. We'll be doing the call-in show around noon. Say a prayer for Avris's wife, Avris, and his son, Riddick. For all we know, Riddick's already been born, but say a prayer so that everything goes smoothly and they're able to complete their family, and everything goes very well with that. So everyone who called in, thank you so much. Everyone who donated, thank you so much. Whoever's about to send a donation for $357, thank you so much. You're the best for sending in a donation for $357. You're the best. You guys are awesome. Thanks to all my mods. Thanks to my editor, Black Elk. Special thanks to Avarice. I hope everything's going well for you. I don't have my outro video set up with Charlie Kirk, but please always keep Charlie Kirk in your memory, his thoughts and prayers. To his family. I'm going to raid over to who we got. I can't wait to watch this Fuentes Piers Morgan. Let's raid over to our man Grid. Grid's streaming right now, so give Grid a shout out. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks so much. As always, have a good one.